The night beckons while you dream. Welcome back, everybody, to another game here in the Casual Esports Amateur League. Today, we bring to you two games between HTS Gaming and Arnie. And again, to reiterate, it is just two games here. We're not doing a best of series. These guys are just going to go head-to-head 2 times, and we'll see who takes it. I'm here casting alongside Sticks and Crones. What do you think about today's match?
Really interesting. Week 1 has always been proving to be very interesting throughout the week as teams start to get their grip with each other. They start to use some of their favored picks and bringing them into these games. We saw like the Ezreal Morgana pick was super successful last night. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams initially approach pick bans with not really having that much data to go off.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've done our research, we've kind of seen that these players played a magician's hat of champions, just from one pick to another. Nothing really solidified for anybody. What are some of the key things you're looking for here in this pick and ban between these two teams?
I think to start with HTS Gaming, we can be relatively sure that they're going to be working on a split push comp. And with Aurelia, Sion, Rengar, Camille all being things in Pazzo's wheelhouse, I think that we're going to see a very top dominant style, especially with their captain being Find the Light. I think that he's going to put a lot of pressure into the top lane and really try to get that ahead so that they can pressure. I think that's going to be really core to their strategy. I think also looking forward at the type of bans that HTS is probably going to be putting out there, they're probably going to be targeting towards the Taric on Arnie, which is a pick that both of us were really excited about.
Yeah, we did see Arnie practicing that Sona Taric. Only a few games on it, but they were successful both times. I think something to note is when they do play that Sona Taric, they don't necessarily go for that Hecarim in the jungle, that very strong Hecarim pick, but they kind of play around their carry style top laner. We've seen Yasuo, Akali, Bursty Mages in the mid lane. And real quick, I do want to touch on before we jump into it, the rosters were a little mixed up. Tuition Fee was marked down as a support for HTS Gaming. She is actually going to be in the mid lane with RNG Nihao supporting Wizard in the bottom lane. So we've already seen a few picks come out as far as the research that we've done. And just as you were saying, Ezreal Morgana did really well previously in the past 2 games yesterday. So I think we'll see something safe like that. How do you feel the bot lane for Arnie are going to play with their AD carry being their team captain?
Well, I think that
we lost him there for just a moment, but I will keep you guys entertained no less. These teams should be hopping in here to the drafting, and as we kind of laid out the land here, we're looking for probably a split push fighter in the top lane for HTS Gaming, and possibly a cheeky Sona Taric for the bot lane in Team Arnie. As I was saying to Sticks just a moment ago, Team Arnie's AD carry Alpha Rudolph is their team captain. So he is going to be looking maybe to get himself a strong pick, something that he can be comfortable on and kind of win that lane. So he's not only having to worry about losing his lane and still trying to win the game, but kind of just going with the flow. As bot lane wins, he's able to shot call around the map.
And I think that Find the Light's pressure is really going to be important here, him being the captain. I think that the key matchup to look at tonight in these games is going to be Find the Light versus Regulator. They both play such aggressive champion pools. They both seem to really like to get in, do some invading. Their vision scores are relatively good. So I think that there's going to be a lot of fireworks and a lot of pressure watching the flow and tide of these junglers moving across the map here.
We actually see these teams. Let me go ahead and set them up here.
Yeah, just
okay, as I was saying, the team should be hopping into the pro draft here. And if you guys don't know what pro draft is, it's a program that we use here, CasualEAL, to help pick the drafts, because not every one of these players has every single champion. So we use this program to do the lay of the land here, pick the draft as they need and as they can, pick each champion for each lane. And then once we jump into that lobby, they do the bans and the picks exactly the same. And that way everybody's getting their own champion, or the champions that they actually own, rather than having to try and trade out.
Yeah, it's a really important tool for us to be able to make pick bans the best that they can be here. A little bit of a hold up while we're trying to figure out pro draft here.
Oops.
Getting in.
Somebody's sneaking in on us. So might have been a little bit of a, yeah, like you said, a miscommunication here. This is to shoot these links out. And hopefully they've had a lot of time to do their research
they've
now.
got their draft strategies ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. They a few moments in the locker room getting pumped up before coming out and getting this draft started. So now both teams have the links. They should be jumping in here soon. Find the light as the enemy jungler here, as the captain in the jungle. His pressure and just his ability to be able to move around the map is going to be huge. And now we see already the Renekton ban coming out. That is targeting those bruisers in the top lane for Aura Avery.
Yeah, I think that they're really trying to ban away champions that are better into those bruisery, split pushy type matchups that Pazzo wants. With the Rengar, Scion, and Camille still being in his champion pool, the Irelia getting banned away. I think they're just trying to find things that are going to stop him. And then the Kai'Sa ban coming out is very interesting. She's just generally good AD carry for the moment. And then the Hecarim coming out for Find the Light.
Yeah, Find the Light, a lot of successful games on that Hecarim, running that new build with the Smite and the Ignite, but that is going to be taken away, and a huge carry in that Irelia also taken away from Pazzo. He has been spamming that pick as well. Find the Light, though, does have a pretty versatile champion pool. He's able to play the carry style jungler, as well as take a step back, play the early game jungler, or even the tanks. We have seen some games on Sejuani, so we'll see what they prioritize here as the first pick is about to come through.
It's very, very interesting. They banned the Morgana away. When we were discussing pick bans before, we mentioned that Morgana was one of the champions that possibly Nihao could have pulled out to counter the rest of Senpai Desuki's champion pool. And then banning it out, and then the Ezreal getting put away. We're not going to see that power bot lane again tonight.
Yeah, and we don't have a Sona or a Taric ban, so if Team Arnie are trying to look for something fishy here in game number 1, they could still take that away. I'm not too sure if HTS did all of their research, but the first two picks just going to be the Lee Sin, very strong early game jungle, try and get pressure around the map, and then Scion on the side of HTS Gaming. We know that Pazzo can play that very well, and it's just nice to have that tank in the top lane.
And that's one of Regulator's best champions. He's got a 4 KD with it, and solo queue right now is not surprising at all that he's going to pick it up early. It just seems like a comfort pick for him. And the J4 coming out, we actually saw that this was something that they were trying out before the game in a small scrim. So definitely J4, just a general power pick for the captain. Find the Light here. And Scion coming out from Pazzo. So well, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he goes more of a damage route or into the tanky route and just plays utility for his team.
Yeah, Jinx picked up for the AD carry. Ashe in response, so more of that utility, but so far they do have a very strong engage, and just in these 3 champions alone, you've got the Unstoppable Onslaught from Scion, obviously the EQ combo from Jarvan with the Cataclysm to lock anybody up, and if those aren't hitting anybody or those haven't been used yet, you've got the ultimate from Ashe. And even looking for something from downtown, obviously the longer that ult travels, the longer the stun is, so she may be able to make plays around the map. And I love Ashe as a supporting champion because of the Hawkshot. She's able to kind of pick out where that Lee Sin might be in the early game to keep themselves safe, because she doesn't have the mobility like this Miss Fortune does.
But that's Miss Fortune Jinx bot lane. They specifically picked it into the Ashe. It's a choice that we've seen happen before in big tournaments. Like, I personally don't think that it's as good as it used to be with some of the meteor changes and just how the meta has shifted. but it's definitely still a strategy that can work against an Ashe to really just poke her down. So I'm excited to see if the Misfortune support can actually come through here. The Cassiopeia ban, that's something that we talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, Cassiopeia being taken away from tuition fee. She does have a handful of games. I would say probably one of her most comfortable champions next to that Lux, so we might see another targeted ban towards that mid lane. And on the side of HTS Gaming, we are still missing the mid laner and the support, so we'll kind of see how they work around or better help this engage comp that they've built thus far.
Is that a no ban? Is that what that is from HTS Gaming?
Yeah, I don't actually. It's blank on my side as well.
An Oriana ban. It's interesting. That is one of the champions that tuition fee plays, but I feel like they maybe could have gotten away with just taking the Lux, which is tuition fees by far her most comfortable champion, even though she's been spamming Cass quite a bit in normals recently. Lux is by far her best statted champion. So we'll see if that's a quick pickup once we get back to blue side picks here.
Yeah, and they take away the Veigar in the mid lane. Just a nuisance as a whole. Strong into any AP carry in that mid lane. The Event Horizon being just such a huge disruptive stun to stop the Jarvan. Even to lock up the Scion as he's coming in. But we see Lux actually taken away. We're talking about that being the pick for the mid laner for HTS Gaming. Definitely throwing a wrench into things, banning out her most comfortable champions, and taking away that Lux.
The other side of that, though, is always that when you're picking away a main champion from a player who's really proficient on them, they're going to know the counter matchups, they're going to know more of the weaknesses, especially if you're picking it up with not as much experience. We'll get to see whether or not tuition fee can actually punish the main on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And Syndra just such a strong pick. Great CC, great burst damage, and we actually
coming out. Wow,
that is interesting.
it makes sense into the Misfortune that you don't want two people to take the poke from Misfortune's Make It Rain. But we haven't seen a Yuumi come out in any of the casted games, I believe. So this is definitely the first time that I've gotten a chance to see it in a structured competitive game like this.
Yeah, and I had thought maybe these teams had talked it over, but I had thought that there were Yuumi not being allowed in week 1. That's why we hadn't seen it just yet. They wanted to give teams time to play with it and play against it. So we may have to run back this draft, keeping everything the same, but taking off that Yuumi pick. We're going to go ahead and see if that's exactly what we need to do here. Yeah, Yuumi not banned. Yuumi not. She is banned for the first week of competitive play here in the CasualEAL. That's why we hadn't seen it picked, and that's why we will have to run back this champion select.
Seems like they're just wanting to replace Yuumi with Braum.
Is that the consensus there? Okay, so it looks like... okay, no worries. So it looks like they are just going to grab the Braum there rather than the Yuumi. So everything situated there.
And it's not like it was a contested pick. It's just an easy slot-in substitution there. The rest of the draft still up its fidelity. Drungle last pick. Should be fine.
Yep, absolutely. And then we see Darius coming out as the last pick for Team Arnie. A pretty solid pick into the Scion. And just one of those bruisers that we do see Aura Avery playing in that top lane. They took away the Renekton, but he gets to rely on his Darius, which he does have a fair amount of games played.
You see them take away probably Scion's worst matchup in Renekton, but Darius has a really good time of punishing tanky champions like Scion. I think if Darius can get ahead, especially with the early Lee Sin pressure, we might see some fireworks on the top lane contending for that, because a fed Darius is definitely something that you don't want to deal with, especially with as squishy and immobile as Ashe and Syndra are.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, if we take a look, we've got Scion in the top lane, Jarvan, Ashe. Again, that kind of being their engage with the arrow, with the flag and drag, the cataclysm locking everybody up, and then Syndra kind of just on the backside, throwing out as much damage as he can with the Dark Sphere, and ultimately kind of stunning this front line here. How do you think that this composition, or both of these compositions, we've got kind of like the poke on the side of HTS and more of what seems like a picky-ish comp for the side of Arnie? How do you think these teams are looking to win this game?
I think that it's obvious to look at the engaged tools that HCS Gaming is really bringing out here. I mean, the Ashe ulti, the Syndra, Brahms ulti once we get into the rest of this game, Jarvan Scion, all really strong tools to get onto this extremely squishy and immobile team from Arnie. On the other side, though, they've got an extremely strong top laner that can take over the game if they can get him ahead with Scion. Really proficient Lee Sin, which I'm really looking forward to seeing play. And three really strong poke champions that are all going to be building towards this sort of pokey team fight composition so that they can kite back. I think that the linchpin of this game is really going to be whether or not that Darius gets ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Darius needing to do really the best he can, being really the only tank on the side of Team Arnie, kind of depending on how Lee Sin decides to itemize here. Whereas HTS Gaming does have a very strong front line, so not only do they have the engage, but that front line going to be huge for Ashe and Syndra to kind of just sit in the back and just deal out damage as much as they need to. And the players talking, it actually sounded like they're going to swap not Braum, but for Tahm Kench.
Oh, Tahm Kench. Well, it's still the same general concept. A little bit more peel, which I think is interesting. They're really trying to protect the Ashe and the Darius with that. Are a lot of engaged tools. And he doesn't have Braum, so Tahm Kench is going to be a big asset to Ashe during this game in the Syndra, both immobile. Just trying to beat them at their own game by peeling away, trying to sustain through a lot of the poke.
Yeah, and that definitely opens up some split pushing options with that Abyssal Voyage. Tahm Kench able to kind of move around the map, or even if he is looking to make some plays early in the game in some of the other lanes, help out that Syndra in the mid lane, or kind of roam around with Jarvan and see if he can make plays, kind of just getting this team ahead. And I think ultimately Ashe being more utility, but Jinx with those rockets, once she has that Runaan's Hurricane later into the game, she's going to be doing a lot of damage, and it doesn't matter how many tanks you have, eventually she's just going to be able to shred it out.
Eventually she's just going to take off, but I think that overall, when we look at HCS Gaming's composition, they're going to scale much harder in general. Like their team scales together in a way that Arnie's composition really doesn't. They've got a top laner that's really dependent on getting ahead, Elise who's really dependent on getting ahead, and a bot lane that was supposed to be able to poke out the Ashe lane, but with a Tahm Kench, it's going to be extremely hard for them to do. So I really think that just based off of champion select, HTS Gaming is kind of pulled ahead with their ban theory here.
Yeah, it looks like they did their research a little bit better and drafted what seems to be a little bit stronger of a team comp overall. Again, that Tahm Kench out of the bot lane, like you were saying, going to be just a huge point of just being able to keep his team alive. Ashe, as you were saying, not very mobile, so it doesn't matter if Jinx lands the chompers or Miss Fortune has the slow or even the light binding or anything like that. Tahm Kench able to suck her up and keep her safe. But I think one thing to note is that Tahm Kench did recently have nerfs in that supporting role, where now when he does suck up an ally, he's not moving as fast as he was before. He is going to have that, I believe, 99% slow, as if he had just eaten an enemy. So not necessarily going to be able to move as quick And if he doesn't have the flash, then they may be looking to pick up a double kill, whether he eats it or not. So we'll just kind of have to see how they play with the most recent nerfs to Tahm Kench.
I'm interested to see what Keystone Ashe takes, because I feel like they really need the fleet footwork. This lane is all about sustain, right? If Ashe can manage to get her Bork, manage to get the Runin's Hurricane, starts life stealing more than Misfortune is able to put out the security of the Tahm Kench, I feel like that lane is just going to shift completely around maybe like 14 minutes, you know, at the usual Bork buy. Jinx is obviously going to outscale and do more damage later on, but I need to see what Arnie can bring as far as pressure bottom lane to really be able to judge how this game's going to go.
Yeah, and we might even see if they are trying to play it extra safe, maybe an early coal buy for the Ashe. They are going to be getting poked out quite a bit from the Jinx and the Misfortune to make it rain. So maybe like an early coal buy, kind of play back, just try and get ahead in gold, because they should not have much priority in this bot lane, which then allows Lee Sin to make these plays for the objective, like the Dragon or any of these turrets on the bottom side, or even maybe even contesting the jungle of that Jarvan.
So something to consider is that Tahm Kench is actually able to viably go Guardian, which is going to take down a lot of Misfortune's poke. The more and more that I think about this bottom lane matchup, the more and more I think that the draft really went to HGS Gaming, at least as far as the basic champion matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a look at the summoner spells here, we do have teleport coming out of both top laners. So they're both going to be looking to make plays around the map to help their team. Bot lane should have a lot of priority, so Darius is obviously able to make the plays on the bottom side if they do decide to go for that Dragon. But I don't want to give anybody too much credit, although the team comp does seem in favor there for Jinx and Jinx and Misfortune to be able to push out early. These teams have never played each other before. These teams are brand new. It's week 1, so we might see something spectacular coming out of the bot lane for HTS Gaming. Tahm Kench, although receiving those support nerfs, yes, receiving damage buffs, so he might be able to do enough damage to kind of force this Jinx and Misfortune back and have them kind of playing on their retreat.
I think that the Tahm Kench might be able to push back on them. Having Guardian and having Fates of the Mountain as a support gives you so much durability, and with Misfortune not really able to do anything to sustain herself up, it is quite possible that Tahm Kench could just use his Tongue Lash and knock her health down to a point that she's not able to safely come up and use her E.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. We're talking so much about this bottom lane, but we'll just have to see how aggressive Tahm Kench does want to play, because if he does decide to use the Devour offensively, he won't have it to keep that Ashe safe. So definitely needs to be careful the way that they're playing in this lane. Hopefully pushing up with early vision to keep this Lee Sin from getting too far ahead if they are going to play aggressive with the Devour and the Tahm Kench.
And the reason why I feel like we're talking about the bottom lane so much is that the mid lane is pretty much balanced. It's two poke mages, control mages with barrier. There's not really chance for much individual play. We've already addressed the difference in the aggressive play styles of Find the Light and Regulator, how that matchup is going to sort of play out, and Darius is going to be just a dichotomous lane. It's either going to be Darius getting extremely fed, or it's going to be Sion slowly taking over as he gradually out-tanks the damage that Darius is able to do later on around the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, and with Sion's passive, he may eventually just get too healthy to where he is going to overpower this Darius in the top lane, and he'll have to look to make those teleport plays. Like you're saying, mid lane pretty even, so across the board, it's basically going to be these junglers trying to get it done early to put these lanes ahead. And I think a good place to look is that Jinx, because that is the team captain for Arnie, and maybe putting her behind might put the team's kind of mentality behind, maybe put somebody on tilt here. But if they're able to do that in reverse onto that Jarvan or anywhere else, kind of make plays before him, we could see him tilting. But with that being said, no more delays here. We are jumping in onto Summoner's Rift. All 10 members loaded up. And now yesterday we saw very, very safe level 1s, drawing that line of scrimmage across the map. So let's just see how this plays out, because they do have pretty strong level 1 teams on both sides.
Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna see anything too aggressive. I really think that this is gonna be ooh, but there is some movement in the river.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Arnie looking to play aggressive, just getting some
Pushed by Arnie here. Just getting a little bit of
vision.
poke. Looks like they're gonna know which side Final Light's gonna be starting on. That'll be useful information for them.
And I think that's
And
something
it
that
looked
we haven't seen yet.
Here. Go ahead.
So outside of that early skirmish, a little bit of damage coming from this Fortune. This is the first team that I have seen so far trying to get early vision on the jungler, just to kind of track that pathing. And it's really going to help here because they are starting on opposite sides of the map. So while Lee Sin is going to be on the bottom side of the map trying to help out his bot lane, Jarvan should be on the top side. And that kind of gives Darius that SA, the situational awareness, to know that he's going to have to play safe if he is pushing out that lane.
And we'll really see, with Red Start, just typical start on the jungler here, he's going to be making his way towards the top lane. But that means that Regulator's got a window here to get a level 2 gank off on the Scion if he wants to go on pressure. If he takes advantage. And lane going as you would typically expect, bottom lane just starting the poke wars.
Yeah, and both of these bottom lanes now getting there just in time for the minions, so nobody going to be behind, although HTS did leash for their jungler, able to kind of stay here and be in the fight for the early level 2.
And mostly it just seems like it's been pretty quiet, just the junglers clearing and making their way towards their pathing. It looks like Lee Sin's actually heading up towards his Krugs and possibly into a counter gate top. Let's see if there's any fireworks there. A good trade coming down by tuition fee.
Yeah, Jarvan taking a really quick red to blue, now working on his Gromp. Lee Sin knowing that he's now on that top side, finishing up that camp, and just like you said, we'll see if they do anything on the top side. I think something to note here is Glacial Augment on that Lux. So she may be looking to build kind of supporty in the Twin Shadows, something along those lines, and that's definitely going to help land some of the CC from really anybody on this team. But now we see Jarvan coming into the top lane. He's got the EQ combo down onto Darius. Darius heals up there with the Decimate, flashes away. Lee Sin up in the top lane as well. Now it's a 2v2. Scion getting low, and here he comes. First blood going over to Lee Sin, but the passive is live. Lee Sin getting one. Now a double kill actually going over to the Scion. Scion goes down, but a 2-for-1 overall for HTS. And both flashes blown on the side, or for the jungle and top lane of Arnie there.
How well played by Find the Light there, just utilizing the Scion's passive. Pazzo just getting off as much damage as he could beforehand, and in the bottom lane there's a small fight.
Yep, heal coming out there. And again, 3 stacks means he can look for the Devour. Tahm Kench is level 3, so they have to be careful. And we're seeing this early aggression that we thought we might not see from the Tahm Kench. Heal already blown on the Jinx. Flash from the Misfortune. Just have to see that plays out now. Flag and drag getting the knock up onto Lux. Barrier being popped. Flash is still available. Electrocute coming down. There's the flash. Prismatic Barrier going to keep her safe a little bit longer. No bloodshed there, but Lux having to go back to base here now. Jarvan being very active in this early game.
Successful gank from him nonetheless. He was able to get the flash out of the Lux, managed to get the barrier, gets tuition fee a couple of free lanes, and tuition fee is going to be able to go back on a wave that's crashing into the enemy's tower. So overall, the Syndra is going to get an XP and CS lead off of that gank.
Yeah, and Lux not a very mobile champion. If Jarvan is able to either bait out that light binding or even dodge the light binding or get a good EQ to get in regardless of that light binding, she's going to be in a lot of trouble without those summoner spells.
Already in this game, you can see the CS differential starting to happen. You can see a 22 CS lead on the Darius currently. Here, 4 minutes into the game already. The Scion 2-1 because of that gank, but still just feeling the pressure from the Darius. 2 waves up still on the Syndra, and bottom lane pretty much even, but it seems like this Darius is just getting so much income at the moment.
Yeah, definitely doing a great job staying very far ahead, given that he was ganked very early by that Lee Sin. And on the bottom side of the map, although playing very aggressive, Jinx and Misfortune able to keep it very, very close here. The gold basically even. The pickaxe to the 2 longswords. So we're not really looking at any kind of damage spike down there just yet, although the Ashe Misfortune have been playing well. Mid laners going toe-to-toe. And Lux, unfortunately, just getting the butt end of these trades. Syndra in a very good spot, playing aggressive. And again, has both summoner spells, so she's able to do just that.
I think that we're starting to get into like the worst case scenario for Arnie's bot lane here. Right, they're in a lane that's whole goal is to eventually poke down these opposing bottom laners, but with the sustain from Guardian and the Face of the Mountain procs, coupled with the fact that the Ashe has fleet footwork, they're just not able to get any poke down, and it's really to the detriment of their lane. They should be very far ahead at this point, and them being even is a very bad sign for Arnie.
Yeah, now we see Devour coming out and Scion both actually hitting level 6 here. Unstoppable Onslaught is on Jarvan in this top lane as well. Flash not available for the Darius, but he does have the Noxian Guillotine. Maybe he can trade one back. Decimating Smash gonna get the knock up. Stunned is that Darius. And Find the Light picks up another kill in that lane. Now 1-0-2. Playing to his weak lane there in the Scion. Doing everything he can to keep him ahead. And now we see on the bottom side, Flash coming out from Ashe. Ranger's focus gonna pick up that kill. Tahm Kench now in a bad spot, has to walk away. Flash coming up from Jinx, and Lee Sin gets another one. And we see a skirmish in the mid lane. The solo kill going over to that Syndra. And right now, just a very scrappy game for both teams.
I think that I can touch on a couple of the things that we said in Champ Select, right? Tuition Fee's just able to play the matchup so much better into the luck. She knows how to abuse the cooldown. She knows what she hates when she's playing against a Syndra. And you really see it coming out in that solo kill there. It was very well played by Tuition Fee. Also in the bot lane, you can see now this lane is starting to turn the tide, even though the dragon going down now because of the pressure from that play. I think it's advantageous to get more gold on the Lux, or on the Ashe rather, earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had kind of predicted this style play where they want to get their team captain ahead, come down looking for early ganks. Unfortunately, the kill not going over to Jinx. Lee Sin did pick that one up, but now going to be able to keep themselves a little bit safer with that Windrake under their belt. And Lee Sin may look to just kind of hover on this bottom side still.
I'm clearing a vision up on top. I think that they're just really trying to make this Darius feel uncomfortable. He's giving up a few CS here just to pressure that vision. And now that the vision's gone, we see the jungler coming in topside.
Jarvan looking for something. Maybe spotted out here. Doesn't want to go too hard. Darius does have the ultimate still available, so very, very strong. But now Lee Sin here on the bottom side of the map. Devour comes in to keep Ashe safe. The kick comes out. Dragon's Rage and the Sonic Wave going to be enough there. Tahm Kench goes down, able to save the Ashe. But again, that movement speed, the nerf on Tahm Kench, making him very vulnerable and not able to get himself away.
And Regulator coming in there for a very good gank, just understanding the timing, knowing the lack of mobility on Ashe and Tahm Kench, and just punishing the Tahm instead of trying to battle against his Devour there.
Yeah, and neither of those, the bot laners have summoner spells. Exhaust still available, but not really going to help Tahm Kench get out there. So anybody really a free target or an easy target in that gank, and another successful gank on the bottom side of the map.
You see the Lux is definitely going to go into the GLP Twin Shadows build, utilizing that Glacial Augment to the best of her ability. It's a pretty powerful build that a lot of mages are able to go, especially these control mage types. It just gives them a lot more utility in actually being able to chase down these fights.
Yeah, now we actually see a lane swap coming out. A little bit too much oppression from the Ashe and Tahm Kench, completely zoning from the waves at times. Couple successful ganks keep them close, but it looks like they want to take this powerhouse Darius ahead of this Scion and keep the Scion behind.
Dangerous for Pazzo.
Here comes Lee Sin. He is in. The kick is not available just yet. It is a 3v2 overall. He will safeguard away as they skirmish for the Scuttle Crab. It will go over to HTS Gaming. But now it's, oh, here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, actually. It might find its target. It does not. It barely misses that Lee Sin. but the unstoppable onslaught is in. Now Sion stuck in the middle of 3 here. Bullet time comes out, the kick back, and the super mega death rocket picks up the shutdown for Jinx. That is exactly where you want that gold. Now he's trying to find something here with the passive, but it's not going to be enough now. 4 members on the top side of the map looking to push down this turret.
Syndra showing up just a little bit too late there, coming around the side. Ooh, good Q.
Yeah, actually getting caught out here. Scatter the weak to stun too. There goes the Unleash Power. Not enough damage just yet, but that would have been a nice shutdown. Teleport coming out from Sion to keep that turret up, but 2 turret plates, 320 gold, going over to that Jinx solo there.
Damage coming out here.
Darius
Jinx
still
just
on the
poking
top
on
side.
Sion. It's very interesting that they chose to lane swap this early. It doesn't feel like they were having that hard of a lane, but I understand them wanting to pressure the Sion. Maybe it's just because they feel the Darius starting to get behind and they really want to bail him out. But I'm not sure if he's actually going to be able to do anything more in the bottom lane than he's already doing top.
Yeah, and that might open up the Darius for more ganks from that Jarvan, because it's going to be a 3v2 rather than, or a 3v1 rather than a 1v or a 2v1. Sorry, excuse me. So we may see Jarvan now kind of playing around that bottom side of the map, but Rift Herald going to be started up. Syndra going to check this one out, but she's going to be very, very bad spot there if she does step too far forward. Dragon coming up in just under a minute. And now maybe they did that swap to contest this Rift Herald, and it worked out perfectly. The bot lane up there with the jungler, 3 members able to take that Rift Herald, and now we might look for a play on the bottom side to grab that next dragon. The macro play coming out from Team Arnie is not much more to say about that.
I think that right now we're really seeing the influence of the captain coming out here. You know, Alpha Rudolph taking the Rift Herald for themselves. You can see the shot calling of that rotation that's got to come from bot lane. There has to be a bot lane going, just go bottom, go and farm up, go and try to be useful in the mid game. We've got top, and then pressuring the neutral objective with the jungler. Great execution by Arnie, making light of a bad situation.
Yeah, unfortunately just a little bit too late there. It looks like they are trying to swap back here with Darius going back in the top lane. Dragon already have spawned, will go the way of HTS Gaming. So I think good initiative there, trying to find something, but now we see the light binding locks are in place, but there is the ultimate from Ashe, and that's going to be enough. Again, from downtown, that stun lasts for so long, and another kill going over to that Syndra in the mid lane.
You saw him barely miss that enchanted arrow earlier on that last skirmish, and now just nailing the long range arrow, getting the max duration and setting up tuition fee for an excellent kill with Unleash Power.
Yeah, and they're playing this comp beautifully, making plays around the map. We haven't seen the Abyssal Voyage just yet, but 2 arrows already used to go mid and to go top side. This Ashe really being the utility AD carry that she is, and it's used right now to the fullest of its fullest ability.
As we said, HTS's draft is on paper much stronger. It's going to be really bad for Arnie if they're able to start making picks and starting to equalize this gold value, because Arnie really needs to stay ahead to not fall behind just because of the draft phase.
We see bullet time coming out and some skirmish here in the mid lane. Tomcash gets the tongue lash on. Exhaust is on as well. Jinx forced to flash away. Flash heal from the misfortune now. Jarvan getting devoured. He was up underneath that turret. Super Mega Death Rocket. Ashe flashes, but into the wall, not able to escape. The chase is on. Jinx and Misfortune going to walk away from this one, but in a 3v2, they managed to pick up a kill for themselves onto that Ashe, and that has to feel horrible.
Arnie, just as we're talking about how they might be falling behind here in the mid game, pull out a very nice 2v3 play to recover some of the lead that they had before, and making a statement that they're not going to let tuition fee just scale for free.
Yeah, Jarvan on this bottom side, trying to keep this turret alive here. Tom Kench doing a great job with the Devourers so far, keeping team members as safe as possible. But turret plating is down, so now these turrets aren't going to be as resilient. And as we know, not only 280 carries, but actually we see some fighting in the mid lane. Final Spark comes out. Darius is there. Nox and Guilty not going to find that kill, but Lux picks that one up for herself. 3 members in that mid lane getting that shutdown onto the Syndra. And as I was saying, Jinx just melting this turret in the bot lane.
I think that it's very interesting to see how Arnie is just moving around on the map so much cleaner than HTS here. It feels like they're really kind of transitioning and moving into these different phases of the game, really setting up plays and using macro rotations to their advantage to get these neutral objectives much more than HTS. HTS has been playing well, but I feel like just from the signs that we're getting right now, it could be that Arnie gets a really good potential play to get an advantage here, and if HTS slips up, Arnie could just take over with these rotations.
Yeah, and although Syndra playing well in that mid lane, the gold is virtually even, and we're starting to see now gold shifting in the way of that Jinx. Lee Sin helping so much in that bot lane, although looked like a losing lane at first, able to get not only himself ahead, but his team captain ahead, and it looks like they're trying to just ride out that high. Now Jinx with the Infinity Edge has that Zeal working towards that Runaan's Hurricane, and again, if these tanks can't get tanky, then Jinx is just going to run through everybody. But now we see two members in the mid lane looking for Syndra. Tahm Kench is here, has the Devour. Sonic Wave not going to find its mark. Now Jarvan is here as well. Cataclysm onto the Lux. She gets the life binding. Final Spark going to hit two. Lux surely will fall. So they get one there. Now Lee Sin stunned up from the Tongue Lash. Looking to get away here. Darius in the wakes. Another stun. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow now. Tahm Kench in there. Dropping a few more auto. Safeguard will keep him nice and safe with his team. He smites that Raptors. The bullet time coming out. But again, that is a support misfortune. So not too much damage going there. Mostly just saying, hey, get away from my jungle. You guys are not safe here.
Well, and what good patience by HGS there. Nihao could have really gone ham there, trying to get his consume cooldown, but just seeing the misfortune ulti coming out, pulling back, taking the advantage that they had gotten, and going back to go and get their CS.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a huge fan right now, and I would love to see once these team fights start to break out, Syndra actually starting things off with their ultimate and then using that scatter the weak, and you're gonna have 5-6 balls to really kind of stun that whole front line, which may stop that misfortune ult, which may stop the Lux ult, as we've already seen Syndra trying to do. But Dragon now coming up in just under 20 seconds, and this might be our next fight.
And we see this dragon fight sort of brewing, but I think that it's undeniable that we've seen the strong play from this bot lane here on the side of Arnie. We've seen the strong play from the jungler, but the question is really going to be, can this mid laner make the comeback, start being useful in these team fights, and can the top laner get enough gold to be able to put the pressure on top now that he's been bailed out by his bot lane?
Yeah, and HTS trying to do something sneaky here. They were standing on a ward. They are going to spot it out now, but now all 10 members in this game around this Dragon Pit, and Dragon is going to get started up by HTS. A choke point for Arnie, a very, very dangerous spot for them to be for that Scion ultimate. Dragon now getting below 2,000 HP. They look for an engage here. Flame Chompers are on. Light Binding not going to find. Bullet time is out. Blue team going to secure that Dragon here. But now here comes the fight. Two members are in. Final Spark not going to find anything. Cataclysm onto two. Lee Sin goes down, and so does Darius. Now Misfortune picks up two for herself, and Jarvan trying to get away with his life. Scion passive trying to pick up some kills. Jinx picks up that Jarvan in the Dragon Pit, and now Ashe and Lux going toe-to-toe, but Lux gets the better of that trade, and a 2-for-4 for Team Arnie. They don't get the Dragon, but they win that fight.
I think that really comes down to the compositional differences here. You see the J4 being able to throw in the Cataclysm there, allowing Jinx to pull out fish bones and just shoot out rockets onto the enemy team, really shredding down their front line, winning them the team fight there.
Yeah, and as you said it, just the composition, so much AoE, so much, even the Final Spark not hitting anybody, but zoning two members so far away from that fight. It was just Scion and Jarvan trying to do as much as they could in that Dragon Pit. Scion not able to find anything with the passive either, and now we're seeing that gold lead starting to increase now, just over 4,000 gold for Team Arnie.
We really need to see how Arnie's able to transition this into the rest of the mid game. We're starting to get to the point that builds are starting to get complete. We're getting those first two items where a lot of these champions have their really strong power spikes. We really need to see Arnie use their gold advantage and push on the gas here if they want to be able to close out before 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think, though, as this game goes on, this Jinx is only going to be become more and more of a menace. But a 400 gold bounty on her head, that could sway things in the favor of HTS Gaming if they are able to find a pick.
think to that, like, Alpha Rudolph has been making all the shot calls here. You can tell just by the way that the rotation's going that it's a lot of AD carry input into these rotations here, making sure that she's able to get the gold that she needs on Jinx, right? I think that moving forward into the rest of this game, we're going to see these same kind of rotations, and this Jinx is just going to get extremely fed and will be very safe because Alpha is really thinking about her own security and the gold that she can get.
Yeah, and I think the only downfall on the side of Team Arnie is that Lee Sin not building so tanky. Now we see actually the Cataclysm coming in onto the Lux here. Flash not available. She uses that barrier, but it does not matter. Bullet time gonna get stopped up. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Now Syndra looking for something. There is the kill. Shutdown going over to Tom Kench. That is not where you want to see that gold going, but at least you're getting a kill onto that Jinx. Now 2 dead on the side of Team Arnie, and this tier 1 mid is under fire.
What a fantastic performance by Wizard here. Just really utilizing those long-range Ashe ulti. He's been on point for multiple plays now, really making these small skirmishes go in the favor of HTS and helping them to get some of these early towers.
Yeah, and as I was saying just before that fight breaking out, again, Wizard doing a fantastic job. A good pick from the Jarvan as well, able to lock up that Lux. As this game goes on, right now Darius has the Triforce built and Lee Sin only has the Black Cleaver, so no real tankiness from Team Arnie. And as, like I said, as the game goes on, Scion passive only going to be giving him health as he's pushing out these side lanes, and he's just building all the armor he needs because he knows right now Jinx is the threat.
I think that the most difficult thing for Arnie moving into the rest of this game is going to be that they are all about pick and poke. They're all about pick and poke. And when you've got a Tom Kench on the other side that can save a carry from getting Lux lasered, when you've got so much sustain and tankiness on the other side that your poke doesn't really matter, especially in these tight corridors around Baron and Dragon, where HTS can really position themselves properly, it's just going to be a really uphill battle for them. They have to find a few good picks here and start getting tempo going, or else I think that HTS is going to start taking over the game here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, and both of these teams have a very strong Baron taking team. Both of these AD carries, Ashe with the Ranger's focus, Jinx with the Gatling gun, able to melt us down. But now we see the engage here. Enchanted Crystal Arrow again. Flame Chompers are down, but it's not going to be enough to save Lux. Syndra picks that kill up, and again, they're doing a great job here, funneling those kills into that Syndra now 5, 1, and 3. Darius on the bottom side of the map, and now Baron is in their eyes.
Even if tuition fee isn't as comfortable on Syndra, maybe comfortable in the matchup, but not comfortable on the champion, when you've got that much gold, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, now we see Baron 8,000 health here. Lee Sin is here. Both of these junglers level 12, so we're going to see the 50-50, and both of these top laners have the teleport. Scion coming in now. Darius working his way towards the bottom lane. 4,000 health on this Baron. They have to be very careful. Lee Sin's Q is an execute. There is the Q on. He might look for it here. No steal there. Blue team going to pick up the Baron Nashor. Now Lee Sin in a very dangerous spot. Super Mega Death Rocket going to come out, but it is tanked up. And now 1 dead on the side of Team Arnie. Jarvan going to be safe there. Nobody dead for HTS Gaming. They picked themselves up a Baron in that smite fight. A great play by Find the Light, the team captain. And right now, the gold lead swaying in the favor. Just shy of 1,000 gold for HTS. And you've got to be feeling good after securing that Baron.
After a performance like that, you see HTS really come together as a team, make a call for a neutral objective, stand up against the pressure from Arnie, and just have faith in their team captain Find the Light to really just hit that smite. And he played it super well, knocking up the Lee Sin, preventing him from using his smite for just a moment so that Find the Light could thread it in there. Great secure by HTS, great rotations.
Yeah, Arnie on the backside do get themselves an Ocean Drake, so that will keep them safe. Keep Darius healthy as he's pushing the side lane, and he does still have that teleport, so he can look to keep this split push going. And if Scion matches and they look for a fight, Darius is going to be able to teleport into that fight, so they may be able to swing something here. But right now we're seeing that Baron power play shove down that mid lane.
I think it's really prudent of HTS to just use their optimal foreman. They've got an extremely strong foreman with Tam Kench and J4 taking a bit of poke now.
Yeah, we may see an engage here. Final spark is on, but Jarvan actually spots out the Lee Sin. He's going to get absolutely deleted. J4 picking that one up. And Ashe, Wizard on this Ashe is a mad man. 1, 3, and 7. And I believe all of those 7 assists are off of the back end of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
What a pickup by Wizard. It's not really something that was on our radar coming into this champ select, but he's really proven that he's got the chops on Ashe to be able to play this supportive AD carry role and make some things happen for his team.
Yeah, they ban away the Ezreal. They take away Morgana as a whole, so they take away that safe lane, and he's fine playing that safe Ashe pick. I had it actually lower in his champion tier, so to see him play it so skillfully, it amazing, and it's working so well for HTS Gaming, who now have just shy of a 4,000 gold lead. That Baron power play being huge.
And it's got to feel really rough for Arnie here, taking away the main champion of tuition fee, the enemy mid laner, and then still watching her get fed on Syndra. That's got to be a little bit demoralizing.
Yeah, now the Magi Soul Stealer coming out for the Syndra. She knows she's ahead. She's getting a little bit greedy here, but that's only going to help in that damage. And almost immediately somebody's going to get deleted because there's no magic resistance except for one null magic mantle on the side of Team Arnie, and that's on that Lux, who is squishy as is.
And look at the builds coming out from Arnie. I mean, their Darius is now working towards a Sterix gauge, probably into a Spirit Visit after that, but we're talking about, 10, 15 minutes from now, not right now when the HTS is turning the game around. This Darius is really not going to be able to take in these team fights.
Abyss of Void's coming out, another beautiful arrow. Misfortune getting locked up. Full time not going to find much damage. Lee Sin having to safeguard away, but Lux might fall here. Volley, not going to be enough. The heal is going to be used. Tom Kench now walking away from this one. Sion on the backside may look for a flank here. Maybe find a decimating smash over the wall. And now 5 members on this bottom side here. Sion goes in with the Righteous Glory. He finds the slow onto Lee Sin. He's in the middle of 3, but it doesn't matter. He's absolutely huge. Lee Sin gonna fall now too. Oh, he actually goes into the stasis, stays alive. Jinx and Darius manage to pick a cup for themselves. Noxie and Guillotine gonna pop the GA onto that dart, onto that Jarvan. Darius absolutely nuclear in this team fight, but now they're trying to peel off that J4. Lux does manage to pick up that kill, and Syndra gets one on the back end, now putting more stacks onto the Magi's, but she is the only member alive. It is a 1v3, and she is dangerously low. They have to be careful here. Zap coming out, Misfortune walking up. She does have that bullet time. She manages to hit the Make It Rain. There's the slow. There's the damage. It's going to be enough. A shutdown going over to that Misfortune, and an ace. Just as we talked so much about HTS coming back in this game, they bite off a little bit more than they can chew underneath that turret.
And that was really a case of them biting off more than they can chew. I don't think they know that they're about even, and they were trying to make an aggressive play there underneath the tower. But we just see the Darius down there just catching him beforehand. There was a good 3 seconds of that fight that happened before the rest of HGS was even able to engage underneath the tower. Just taking off, like you said, a little bit more than they could chew, getting some kills down there. The gold lead a bit more equalized as HGS's momentum is slowed down just a wee bit.
Yeah, and in that team fight, it really seemed like they were fighting for nothing. They didn't even pressure that turret at all. Dragon not available, obviously Baron not available. It seemed like they just wanted to fight because they were ahead, and you can kind of see what happens when teams start to do or make ambitious plays like that. Ashe getting a beautiful arrow, but it was onto the support, and Misfortune not really doing too much in these team fights. You definitely want to see that on a more priority target.
I think that there's actually a hidden lesson here as they set up a play towards Dragon, that when dragons are equalized, right, both of the teams have an ocean, they sort of cancel each other out, so you really have to look at the stats that they're getting from the other dragon. And here on the side of HTS, you see that they've got the Mountain Drake. They should have been pressuring an objective with that. Arnie, able to barely get away with no HP, is able to use that Air Drake to get away. It makes sense.
Yeah, and now they clear some vision around that Baron. They forfeit that Dragon. They're okay with giving up a second Ocean Drake, but they might look to find a pick or a fight around this Baron pit here. Now Misfortune and Lee Sin taking up some of the jungle. Lee Sin might be looking for something on the back line. If he can find a kick onto the carry, that would be huge. Now Lifeline coming out onto Jarvan. He is going to get devoured, but the Unstoppable Onslaught going in onto the Jinx now. The arrow going to follow up with the stun. Cataclysm is in, and a 4-man knockup from the Jarvan. Jinx is still alive, though, on the backside. Ashe able to shut that one down. Syndra picks up a kill onto Lee Sin, and that is going to be an absolute nuclear fight for dead on the side of Arnie. Misfortune to support, the only one alive, and with that clean turnaround team fight, they're going to secure this Baron.
And Wizard just threading that Magic Crystal Arrow through the middle of Arnie, just popping into Alpha Rudolph, taking out the captain, just really demolishing the enemy ADC. I think that you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better MVP for this game than Wizard with these amazing Enchanted Crystal Arrows.
Absolutely, and finding it on that priority target, as it's like he's in comms with us here. We say that he needs to find a priority target, and he does just that. Not only does he find the Fed AD carry, but that is their team captain. As soon as that team captain is out of the fight, they kind of look like they're running around with their heads cut off, not really sure what to do there on the back end.
I think that it comes from the inherent lack of damage in their team comp. Once the Jinx is done, how are they really supposed to respond? I mean, the Lux only has 111 farm, 3, 6, and 4. She doesn't really have the gold to be able to participate in these fights in the way that they really need her to show up for the damage. Jinx is pretty much their only hope to win some of these team fights. And when you've got Wizard just hitting him with an Enchanted Crystal Arrow every single fight, it's going to be very difficult for Arnie to be able to come out successful in any of these team fights.
Yeah, and we talk about Jinx being all of that damage, and Lux kind of building the supporty style with the Glacial Augment, but Scion now has 3 armor items completed with the Ninja Tabbies and a Chain Vest in his inventory. This Jinx, at this point in the game, is just going to be tickling that tank. Not much to really be had, and he's doing a great job just being that solid front line. We see him actually sieging it down here. Decimate coming out, trying to get some poke damage, not going to find anything. And with these baroned up minions here, these 2 cannons going to be able to push down this turret. Final Spark coming out, trying to clear the wave. Not going to get much done there. Darius pulls him in with the Apprehend. Jinx able to clear those up. Again, a lot of damage coming out for that Jinx. But here comes the next wave. And right now it feels like Arnie need to do something. They need to drag them in underneath the turret. They find the Enchanted Crystal Arrow here. Now a lot of damage coming out of the Darius, and he gets absolutely deleted. A killing spree on that Syndra. Lee Sin going to safeguard away here. But now it's a 4v5. Their front line is dead. This is going to be a free inhibitor turret here. Jinx trying to trade some damage back. Scion still has the ult available. Here comes the redemption to top the team off. Final Spark again in this team fight. Absolutely insane. Bullet time coming out. Not going to find much damage. There is the kill from the Jinx onto the Tom Kent. She was playing a little bit too far forward, but now she actually might find something onto the Ashe. There is the Sonic Wave. Will the Resonating Strike follow? I don't think so. Jarvan trying to solo out the support here. He does have the GA available. Cataclysm comes down, finds the dunk. Now he's in that base, looking to push down that mid inhibitor, but 3 members are making a move on this play. He will flag and drag and flash to safety. But honestly, on that Jarvan, doesn't necessarily need that flash, and overall just HTS Gaming taking the base, taking a few kills, trading kills back, but ultimately they get that mid hit inhib, and that's what that pressure was for.
And I think that as far as Find the Light's flash goes, he really only needs it for these neutral objective fights. There's a dragon about to come up, but he's going to have his flash up before the next Baron fight. It's not really much of a loss. Gets the inhib for free, manages to convert something off of that Baron. Now they're going to be able to split with the Darius, or split against the Darius with Pazzo rather, and be able to pressure these towers pretty effectively moving in to the late game here.
Yeah, and it's going to be very tough to contest that Drake when you have supers pushing into the base. Baron buff still available for HTS Gaming, so they may even put Scion in one of the side lanes and try and push that out with the Baroned up minions to just really ultimately secure a free dragon, another free dragon, and bring pressure to either the top side or the bottom side of the map.
I'm afraid that it's just kind of a symptom of the point of the game that RR Avery's at here. He doesn't have enough HP to really stand in front of the rest of his team and be that tank that they need, and so it's leading to Wizard just being able to get pretty free shots off of this Enchanted Crystal Arrow here. It's all just boiling down to what happened in the early game. So transitioning HTS with the stronger composition coming out of draft phase, just pushing that lead. Moving into 35 minutes here.
Yeah, and almost a solo queue-ish mentality, building damage even when you're behind, and right now they're paying for it. We see 5 members pushing down this bottom side. They pick up a second Mountain Drake, so these turrets are going to be absolutely shredded. But we'll see if they're able to find the fight. Arnie did a good job last time defending this turret, losing the mid inhib, but not much more that HTS can find here. So we'll have to see how they play this out. Scion ult is available. Light Binding comes down, only finds a couple of minions. Flame Chompers are on, so a lot of the peel now on cooldown. And we'll see if they're able to get into this back line. Lee Sin look for something on the side, trying to find a flank. But he has to go and stop those super minions. And now this is not a Baroned up wave, so this push is kind of a stalemate. There's so much wave clear for Arnie, the side of Arnie. Now we see the engage onto the Lee Sin. He flashes away. Dragon's Rage going to keep him safe. Again, safeguard away with the ward hop. But here comes the arrow now onto Darius, who is very squishy. As we were saying, the damage coming out from Syndra not going to be enough. Bullet time to push the team back. Darius going to have to run it back to base here. And a lot of that engage now gone for HTS. We'll have to see how they try and siege this base. Baron coming up in just under a minute.
HTS should really just back off and go and try to get Baron pressure here, but now starting a fight underneath the tower.
Yeah, we see the apprehend coming in now. Tom Kench gets absolutely deleted immediately. Sion not tanky enough. Misfortune gets that one, 2 dead. Now make that 3 as Ashe follows. Jinx flashes forward, trying to find the kill onto the Syndra. Not gonna find that. Sion goes down, but gets one for himself. 3 for 1 overall. And just as we were saying, we needed HTS to back off there. And again, just playing a little bit too ambitious.
You see Paz, though, he really wanted to go and get that Misfortune. I think that he could have killed the tower there, and I think that shows the kind of mindset that HTS was in going into that fight. They really wanted to take the fight and kill them instead of using the slow pressure of the Baron and the huge wave that they had crashing into the tower top to play more of that macro style game. They really went for it and paid for it a little bit there.
Yeah, now 4 members going to start up this Baron. 2 members still dead. Abyssal Voyage is available, and it looks like HTS wants to collapse here. 5,000 health is that Baron. The teleport coming out now from the Darius, so all 5 members will be here. Will they be able to find the steal? They do not. Jinx picks that one up, and now Jarvan in a very bad spot. He does have the GA, but that is going to get burnt out here. Jinx getting dangerously low on the backside of the pit. Are they able to find that kill? Devour coming in to keep Jarvan alive for a moment longer, but Jinx picks up a double kill on the backside of that pit, but absolutely deleted by that Syndra. Syndra getting that shutdown gold, building up that Magi's again now, 22 stacks. A 1 for 2 overall, but Baron going over to Arnie, and now we're seeing this gap in the gold start to close.
I want to commend Tuition Fee for really keeping cool-headed inside of these team fights, managing to pick one back, even though they ended up in a poor situation there. I think that Arnie's doing what they need to do to try to transition this game over. It was a really good play to run down the mid lane, get to the Baron rather, knowing that the respawn timers on HTS were such in this later stage of the game that they were going to be able to take the Baron with very little contestation.
Yeah, we're nearing 40 minutes in this game. Jinx still dead, but full build here. The GA is going to be available here in what looks like just a moment. Should have it in this next team fight. And now the Baron power play for Team Arnie sieging down this mid lane themselves. For Rudolph being absolutely huge in that last team fight. Sitting in the back of the pit, he does go down to the Syndra, but picking up 2 kills for himself in a situation that he couldn't get out of. So what did he do? He couldn't run backwards. He just fought forward. Now Elder Drake going to be spawning here in just under a minute. And HTS trying to find something cheeky. Final Spark coming out, not going to find anything. 2 ultimates down. There goes the Ashe Arrow, not going to find a target either. And right now HTS
I think that's the
on
first
the back foot.
Ashe Arrow that I've seen miss.
Yeah, aside from that one in the top lane, that was very, very close and all the way downtown.
An interesting little series of macro rotations here, just fighting over vision inside of this jungle. Sion trying to get into a position to attempt to pressure some of these squishies. Slowly losing damage on this tower here. I feel like Arnie's just really using the Baron to better effect than HTS did.
Yeah, a huge wave on the bottom side. Somebody's going to have to answer that. And Elder Drake is available. Now, an Elder Drake, you definitely don't want that on HTS. So right now, as much as you want that damage, you're taking that Elder Drake, if you're Arnie, to really keep it away from HTS. Because with those 2 Mountain Drakes, your base is going to get melted.
Yeah, and the multiple ocean drakes really starts to matter once we're talking about getting them buffed up with Elder Drake. They would basically be able to siege forever, and with this more profitable team comp, really with these tanks, having 4 times ocean drake would just be absolutely ruthless on Arnie, who really themselves have limited resources to begin with on their comp.
Small engage coming out there. Final spark gonna be used from the Lux. Fortunately, a very short cooldown, so she should have that in the next fight. But both of these teams being very cautious because they know that this fight could be the fight that determines how this game ends. And now Elder Drake gonna get started up here by Team Arnie. All 5 members, they pull it out of the pit. Looked like for a second they wanted to reset, but now we might see an engage here. The Ashe ultimate is available.
The team.
Misfortune actually is cut out there. Jarvan notices, he goes in, prismatic barrier, pulls him off of the dragon. Jinx getting the damage up, and now an arrow now onto that Jinx. The knockup, the final spark, only gonna find Tahm Kench. Jinx getting dangerously low, the GA is gonna be popped, the bullet time is on, but Tahm Kench is just so tanky. Nox and Guilty gonna get one, but Jarvan sits that Jinx down. Cinder picks up one for herself, and now Team Arnie is just trying to kite this out. Lux gonna fall, and now Misfortune, the only member alive on this team, a 4-for-1, and they went back to their roots. They stopped trying to push the base and fight under a turret, and they just found a beautiful engage there.
And what a wonderful ulti by Nihao there, just taking that R ulti to get into the back of the fight, to really be able to get Pazzo onto the carries and just completely shift the dynamic of that fight with so much CC coming out of the Tahm Kench and the Sion.
Yeah, and that's 15 seconds now on that Lee Sin. Give me that first member, and it looks like that is going to be enough for game 1 to go over to HTS Gaming. The Nexus is gonna fall, and that is it. GG's HTS Gaming.
Just like last night, the first game of these first week games just seems to be a lot of players getting on champions that they're really good on and just going at it, a slugfest back and forth as they try to get comfortable with their new teammates. That was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, both teams playing it so well there at the end. Just a couple of missteps there. Jinx stepping up a few times in some of those fights, and unfortunately paying the ultimate price. And again, I think we give, like you said, not only the most damage on his team on the Ashe for Wizard, but those arrows were so crucial.
I think he went about 8 and 10 on arrows there in the mid game. Just really was able to turn around a lot of those fights, and hitting Alpha Rudolph with 3 or 4 of those arrows, just completely changing some of those team fights. Just very well played by HTS, pulling together as a team, using their better team fight, getting into the mid game once tower kills weren't that important, and winning it with an extremely good ulti coming out from the support, bringing in the Sion there. Just beautiful execution all around on the play.
Yeah, absolutely. Jinx doing so much damage, but unfortunately not able to get the win here. I believe these teams are going to take a short break, and as are we. We're going to jump to a quick intermission, and then we'll be back for Game 2 between HTS Gaming and Arnie, and what a game Game 1 was. So on the way out here, Styx, you got anything to add for Game 1?
Excited to see how Game 2 goes and how everyone's going to adapt. I think that with firefight games like that, I just hope that they're able to keep at the same level and that we're able to have an exciting team fight filled game in Game 2.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys in just a moment for Game 2 between HTS Gaming and Team Arnie. Welcome back, everybody. Game 2 between Arnie and HTS Gaming. Arnie now taking the blue side here, and we are jumping in.
Again, we see Arnie banning away the Cassiopeia, obviously the best champion, on tuition fee here, though having a very good performance on Syndra last game. I'm not sure if targeting that champion pool is going to be very fruitful for Arnie.
Yeah, they take away, again, we're seeing the same bans, but they played very well as a whole. Maybe they look to take away the Syndra here this game, or maybe play a little bit more of a comfort pick. I wasn't expecting the Lux to come out for Monarch, but we'll kind of just have to see. So far we are seeing the same bans across the board.
Definitely a hate pick from Monarch, just trying to take that Lux away from tuition fee, not wanting to leave it up. But here Arnie has blue side. I wonder what they're going to use their first pick for. I don't know if Monarch wants to go back onto that Lux.
Yeah, and they may look for a strong pick again in the bot lane, as we saw the Jinx taking off here. They might look to play around that team captain in Alpha Rudolph, grab him a strong and safe pick, so that way he can continue to shot call and play safe in these fights.
We see the Veigar ban coming out against Monarch. Pretty strong ban away. Probably, if I was going to target somebody on Monarch's champion pool, it would definitely be Veigar.
When we see a spicy Morgana pick, was banned away last game, but going to be a very safe support here. Could be flexed into the mid lane. We'll kind of have to keep an eye on where she decides to go. But overall, great team fighting champion, and a great champion to keep your, not only your AD carry safe, but any member of your team that is going to go in for that engage.
Kench coming up from HTS Gaming again, looking to have success with that once more. Seems to be working out.
Yeah,
last game.
Nothing new there. We do see actually the Lee Sin getting picked up by Find the Light here. Gonna try and show Arnie's jungler how to get it done on Lee Sin. Ezreal's still available as well, and we know that is a strong pick for Wizard. Played very well on the Ashe, so we'll kind of just have to see if he leans back towards that supportive style Ashe with those arrows, or if he picks up that strong pick for himself.
This Sion coming out. It seems like Arnie's going to pick these. There's been a lot more hate picks, I feel like, in this series than there was yesterday, where there was virtually none. Here they're really using the advantage of the information that they now have to sort of sculpt their comps around trying to play champions that they are semi-confident on, that they can take away from the enemy team.
Yeah, we see Sion being taken away to Arnie, Lee Sin going over to HTS, so them swapping there, and the Rek'Sai coming in. A very strong early game jungler will be able to match Lee Sin very well. And as this game gets late, we've already seen what Sion can do to the front line here.
We can't discount Regulator on the Rek'Sai, though. He favors those aggressive types of junglers, and I think that we're really going to see him putting on the pressure again, just like he did last game on that J4.
Yeah, and Alpha Rudolph.
Finally.
Alpha Rudolph getting a couple target bans here. Kai'Sa being taken away. Jinx, which he played very well, did the most damage in the game last game. That's going to be taken away. And as we see this more team comp, or this more team fighting style comp build for Arnie, we're now seeing a little bit more scaling on the side of HTS.
Comes the Ezreal ban targeting towards Wizard, trying to take away another one of those utility AD carries. I would not be surprised if Arnie just bans away the Ashe here, especially with the performance that Wizard had last game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Tahm Kench, again, able to keep anybody safe in that bottom lane, but Ezreal and Ashe, as we've seen from statistics, being Wizard's top 2. So we'll kind of have to see if he decides to go something that's going to be more hyper carry, or if he finds another utility style pick, maybe something like the Varus, just something that can kind of keep himself safe and just dish out a bunch of damage in these team fights.
Looks like a no ban coming out from HTS once more. There goes the Ashe.
Yeah, Ashe banned
just
away.
As we had predicted.
So one more pick here for HTS before going back over. AD carry and top lane still available, unless this Vladimir does get flexed up onto the top side. Taking a look at the champion pools here, I didn't see either the top laner or the mid laner here playing Vladimir, but the Vayne coming out, they want to play a very aggressive, scaling, kind of mechanical gameplay, and they've got the Tahm Kench just in case the mechanics aren't there to keep him safe. The Teemo pick.
See Teemo coming out here from Arnie. Looks like it is either going to be mid lane or support. I would guess support. Just going for a very poke heavy bot lane regardless. Pick coming out from Arnie.
And that there really throws that team comp in a circle. Who's going where? How do you even last pick a mid laner if you don't know who you're going to be laning against? But we do see the Lux coming out, so it is going to be Vladimir in the top lane, Lux in the mid lane. Unless, now hear me out here because this could be crazy. They could throw Lux down in the support lane, Vladimir mid, Tahm Kench top. I've seen it so much in solo queue, and it does so much damage, and it absolutely shreds tanks. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to get anybody excited as I am, but we'll just have to see where these picks go.
Well, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I want to see what the final layout of the champions looks like, because I think that we'll be able to have a lot better conversation about it than the Teemo just throwing a wrench into the works here against HTS Gaming, just providing so much map pressure just passively because of his shrooms. If he can get enough CDR going up early, it's going to be really hard for HTS to actually push in to contest some of these objectives.
Yeah, very tough to kind of decide where these players are going. Scaling on both sides, they need a few items on that Vayne. Vladimir gonna need a few items. He kind of builds that yard sale style build with a bunch of CDR at the beginning. Not gonna find a whole bunch of damage, but scaling on both ends. If we take a look, Team Arnie taking a page out of HTS Gaming's book and saying, hey, we're gonna have that frontline tank, and now HTS kind of lacking any tank there except for that Tahm Kench.
It's going to be interesting what kind of dynamic the team fights are going to take on. I think that the Vayne is going to do a really good job at chunking down that front line, but Arnie has enough like passive CC here that they might just be able to get multiple rotations off of this Varus, get a few shrooms placed out in the middle of the fight, and just kite out HTS if they try to force something. We're either going to have to see some very good ultimates by Tahm Kench or some other mechanism like a Lee Sin, Insect, Insanity. They're not really going to be able to get picks unless one of those things happens or this Lux gets very ahead. And I think that if it's on tuition fee, we might just see a very strong Lux this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Banning away the Cassiopeia, Lux being a very strong pick for her. So if we do see that Lux in the mid lane, that's definitely going to be somewhere to kind of keep our eye to see if she's able to get the ball rolling there. Did a great job on the Syndra, and I can only imagine that the Lux now, we see a couple of picks coming over. Lee Sin taken away from Arnie, Lux taken away from Arnie, and it looks like HTS Gaming want to take these guys to school and kind of show them how it's done on these two picks.
We do see the Vladimir getting locked in top lane. It does appear that they're going to be throwing the Tahm Kench down into the support role. Vladimir having a little bit better of a matchup against the Scion, I think, is going to change the dynamic of this game. But again, HTS picking a very early game focused comp as opposed to Arnie last game. Arnie seems to have picked sort of an oddball comp that could really have some really great team fight implications if they're able to play it properly.
Yeah, they now have that very strong engage in the Scion. Rek'Sai can look for engage as well, or maybe even flanks with a flash or the tunnel into the flash. But Tahm Kench, I think, is going to play a very pivotal role in keeping these carries alive. Again, a lot of engage and a bunch of CC, but you can't CC Vayne when she gets eaten up by that Tahm Kench.
The crucial matchup that we need to talk about this game is going to be what happens in the bottom lane. With Wizard putting on such a great performance last game, Elva Rudolph, the captain on Arnie, the shot caller, the person who managed to call the rotation to almost pull their top laner out, now really needs to put on a great performance against this Vayne, because Varus does a lot of damage, but Vayne will kill a whole team if you leave her alone long enough.
Absolutely. If she's able to get that ball rolling, especially in this early game, she's just going to be an absolute menace in these team fights in the late game. And you really have a whole bunch of AoE damage coming out in just the two members in Vladimir and Lux. And you were kind of talking about it earlier with them not having too much engage unless they're able to find a good Abyssal Voyage or a Lee Sin kick, some kind of insect play. But if they're able to find a light binding on somebody stepping up, we'll have to track this Scion's build because they have a lot of ability power in the Vladimir and in the Lux as this game scales on.
It does look like it's a Teemo support coming out from Senpai Daisuke here. So trying to put a little bit more poke down on the Tam Kench, getting that blind against the Vayne is going to be very powerful. I think that Morgana on Monarch just being able to shove into the Lux, we're going to really get to see tuition fees comfort on that champion as she tries to CS under tower against this Morgana.
Yeah, and a little bit more team comp oriented AD carry in the Varus. I'm excited to see how Regulador on the blue side, if he continues to play around that bot lane, or if they're going to see if Varus and Teemo are able to kind of get their passive lead in order to get this Morgana and Scion ahead elsewhere. Because if you have that huge beef tank in a Scion, we saw how tanky he can get, and then that passive afterwards is just so huge. If you lose track of that Scion and you're moving on to the next target, he's just going to start punching you down and find a trade kill.
And despite the nerfs that Scion's received over the season, he can still get to a point going Grasp that if he gets enough tank items, if he's able to get a Bami's Cinder and a Spectre's Cowl, he could just start beating Vladimir down if Pazzo isn't careful there.
Yeah.
Scion can get very scary very quickly.
And having that unstoppable onslaught makes him very strong for being able to push those side lanes. So they can kind of look for a 1-4-1 with Varus and Morgana pushing down that mid lane. The Black Shield, again, going to be absolutely huge. If Rek'Sai flashes and dashes and whatever it is, the Black Shield's going to be able to keep him safe from any of the CC. The Light Binding not going to land. Devour or even Tongue Lash or even the Condemn onto that Vayne not going to land, allowing Rek'Sai really to get off a lot of her burst damage.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how Find the Light performs on this Lee Sin and early game center jungler, much like J4. I know that it's partially trying to take it away from Regulator, but is such a champion. He has such a high skill floor to be able to play him at a competent level. I just hope that we see great play for both these teams again.
So we are nearing the start of the game here. Team compositions being completely different from what they were playing last game. Right now, Arnie down one game. With this new team comp that they've drafted, how do they get it done? How do they take the next game here?
Starts in the bot lane. I think that this Varus is going to have to pick up a lot of the pressure as far as damage goes during these team fights. They really need to get Alpha Rudolph going, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. We're probably going to see a lot of jungle pressure by Regulador because of Alpha Rudolph being a vocal voice as the captain on the team. I think that it's going to be interesting to see whether Rek'Sai is able to actually push in and pressure the Lee Sin with the Morgana's priority. I think that's going to be a huge part of the game plan for Arnie if they can manage to keep mid lane priority and start roaming around and accruing some gold that way.
I couldn't agree more. Varus, Alpha Rudolph on that Varus, the team captain, going to need help kind of getting that lead down to the bottom lane so he can transition it as he did last game around the map. We are loading in here, and hopefully another explosive game. Last game lasting just over 40 minutes. Team comps being completely different. We'll just have to see how these teams play it out. And now we are jumping in here onto Summoner's Rift. In just a moment, these members are loading up. I'm excited to see the team fighting coming out from Arnie. Just a whole bunch of AoE, a whole bunch of engage there, the Morgana, all of that. So let's go and jump in here. Guys, let us know who you think is going to win this second game. Unfortunately, we already know the winner of the first, but hashtag HTSG win or hashtag Arnie win, and let us know who takes game 2.
We saw a little bit more aggressive motion at the level 1 by these teams in the last game, and we see here moving in 4-man.
Dark Binding coming out, Tongue Lash in return. Not going to find much more than that, and this game starting just as it did before. Just a little bit of poke coming out between these teams.
Well, we see a little bit more of an aggressive motion. There's not really a commit. Neither of the teams really committing to the level 1 engage here, just choosing to sort of stand off, take a look at each other, and then move back to their buffs.
Yeah, and yesterday we saw it, both of these teams playing very respectful in game 1, and the game being so back and forth, lasting 50 minutes. Today we see that same exact thing, just so much respect coming out because these teams have never faced up before. So I'm curious to see how these teams have kind of warmed up, or if they've shaken off the rust or the nerves from that first game, and if we're going to see explosiveness coming from Arnie, or if we're just going to see the momentum for HTSG kind of taking control of this second game.
It'll be interesting to see if HTS can play the pressure game as well as they did last game, because they really made use of like optimal roams around the map to gain back their pressure and allow them to gain the gold lead that they did. That's a difference in the shot calling, or whether they just feel a little bit more confident on a macro level as a team. But I'm really hoping to see Arnie challenge them on some of those rotations this game.
Yeah, and Lee Sin doing some invading, some vertical jungling for himself, maybe trying to get a 3-buff start. Put that Rek'Sai behind in experience, and Rek'Sai a very strong pick into that Lee Sin if Lee Sin does decide to engage onto Rek'Sai. She just pops the Unburrow, knocks him up, and can just go all in. Rek'Sai taking the Conqueror, whereas Lee Sin has that electrocute, but now we see some trading in the bottom lane. Flashes coming out from both supports. Teemo getting dangerously low there. Unfortunately, no Ignite for the Tahm.Kench. Nobody dead just yet. First Blood going to be saved for now, but now Lee Sin going in. The electrocute has been procced. The fail flash coming off from the Rek'Sai, and First Blood on that jungler, and find the light, that team captain. He is riding that momentum and gets himself First Blood.
How unfortunate for Regulator. Just a mechanical misplay there leading to him actually getting invaded in on the jungle. We talked about the priority that Morgana is supposed to have in this lane, but Morgana can't actually properly clear the wave until she's got 3 points in her W. So at best we're looking at, you know, maybe level 5, level 6 she's going to be able to hard shove this Lux in. Before then, Lux has all the priority, find the light, knowing that, communicating with his mid laner, really being able to push in there and get aggressive and pressure Regulator into making a choice, and he made the wrong one.
Yeah, we see pressure in that top lane. Pazzo on this Vladimir doing a good job just winning out the ranged and melee matchup as you would expect. As the game goes on, Sion can be able to stand up for himself a little bit more. And now we see Vayne stepping forward. Condemn is on to Teemo. He does not have flash. Tongue Lash as well. Heal coming out from the Varus. Exhaust is on Vayne. Forced to flash away there. And now Varus trying to turn it around, trying to avenge some of this damage. Tahm.Kench is going to be able to walk away from this one, but here is Rek'Sai. She comes over the wall, gets the knockup. Tahm.Kench does not have any summoner spells available, and Varus picks up that kill. A trade kill going back over now. 1-1 is the score.
There are 2 words that spell out the story of that fight, and it's target prioritization. You see them actually getting a really decent engage off in the bottom lane to trade onto the bottom lane of Arnie, but HTS is getting a little bit too ambitious, focusing the support Teemo and not getting enough damage onto that Varus. Varus just sitting there, autoing the Vayne the entire time, began to turn around that fight. And just unfortunate for Nihao not having flash there for that gank.
Yeah, and Varus deceivingly bursty. He gets a few stacks of that Blighted Quiver and then pops you with an ability, and it just does a whole heap of damage. And just as we were saying in Champion Select, we're seeing a Regulador on this bottom side of the map making plays, trying to get their team captain ahead.
I think it's important that they have their pressure down there. It's going to be important for Find the Light, conversely, to find some opportunities to sway that bottom lane a little bit, start to get that Vayne hyper carry going, because that is definitely a win condition on the side of HTS here.
And now Dragon available just like last game. It is going to be a Cloud Drake, but neither team are really in a position to posture for that. Both the junglers are on the bottom side of the map, and it looks like Lee Sin may try and find something here through the lane. Not going to be spotted out by any wards. We'll see how much time he does spend. The bottom line for Arnie, or the bottom lane for Arnie is now here, but Rek'Sai in the wakes as well. They're onto something. Vayne and Tom Kench playing very far forward. Poke coming out. Here comes Rek'Sai now. Condemn is on. Lee Sin goes in onto that Teemo. Teemo trying to run away. The blind is on as well. The knockup from the Rek'Sai. Lee Sin finds the kill. Now the Devour to keep him safe, but spits him back in. They're looking for the kill onto the jungler here. Lux is now down. The Light Binding going to pick that one up, and now Morgana in a lot of trouble. Final Spark going to find its mark onto Varus, but not the kill. Tom Kench moving forward. Wizard picks up a kill for himself, and that is going to be 4 kills for nothing on that bottom side of the map. And HTSG now have that momentum, and it looks like they might also have this Cloud Drake.
Again, we see that powerful shot calling coming out from Find the Light, knowing that he can get in through the lane, setting himself up for a perfect counter gank situation there. Regulator coming in, and the Lee Sin able to get enough damage onto Alpha Rudolph to turn around that fight, chasing down the Teemo, and then cleaning up the rest of it with his team. Really great calls, really great rotations, really heads-up play by HTS there.
Yeah, and they really went into the locker room and came back and kind of read Arnie's game plan. They know so much about them wanting to play around this bottom side from that first game, and Find the Light reading that so well, and he's trying to get it back. He knows that if he can put that bottom lane behind, the rest of the team can't really keep up.
Speaking on the top lane for just a second, you can see that there's a CS differential already forming between the Vladimir and the Scion. A little bit of poke going on down bot, but I think that if the Vladimir can get going and start to pressure this Scion, but you see him already building MR, it's going to be really important to watch how that matchup plays out over the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the AP matchup up there going to force Scion to build some early MR, but Vayne now at 1-0 and 2 is going to be a very scary beast. If they do end up running into each other and he doesn't have any armor, Vayne going to be able to shred that tank down and then move her way on to the rest of the team. Now Rek'Sai, early game jungler, 0 and 2, put behind a little bit by that kill in the jungle and the kill on the bottom side. Needs to figure it out and maybe make some plays elsewhere. They know that they're making plays bot. Lee Sin's going to be there, so how does Rek'Sai kind of work her way back into this game being down so far?
I think he's got to play towards the lanes that can best use his help. I think he needs to go to where there's a lot of CC, which generally puts him in top or mid. I think that he needs to use that to his advantage. Rek'Sai really not being able to engage without flash too terribly well. I don't feel like he's going to be able to in the gank bottom here. That is the side of the map.
On the top side, unstoppable force, flash away. Lee Sin still looking for more. Electrocute is on, but Scion is safe here, and a lot blown there from the Scion. Now not going to have flash. Well, looks like they
might see a potential dive setting up here.
Might want some more. Vladimir very strong in the dive, able to take aggro first, but now we see the Condemn going into the Teemo. Varus just dealing out that damage, and Rek'Sai is here. Flash onto that Vayne. Heal has been used. No summoner spells available. Teemo flashes forward. Ignite is on. Rek'Sai using the ultimate. Void Assault going to get the kill, and Tom Kench now getting dangerously low. Finds a trade kill back onto the Rek'Sai, but Varus wants something. Is it going to be enough? The poison picks up the kill. Teemo gets one for himself, and an execute onto that Varus. Nobody did any damage to him as he was pushing up, and he walks away essentially unscathed there.
Essentially, a very good play by Arnie there, coming in for the gank. They are actually able to get that pressure off into the bot lane. Maybe it's not optimal, but at least they're doing something.
And Morgana getting caught out by the Lee Sin, and right now he is just so far ahead. He has that early Tiamat, which is just a very strong item, and typically you only build that when you are this far ahead. And right now they just don't have an answer for this Lee Sin.
when you got your team captain on a jungler, on such a hard carry jungler, now 4-0-2, he's just going to be running around, telling everybody where he's going. They get to play around his pressure. It's very dangerous when you give somebody who's helping to lead the team the ability to make plays on their own.
And so many resources used on the bottom side of the map. But Wizard and Nihao are finding trade kills, so they're not really able to get much done there. Nobody's really getting put ahead when you are trading. And then Lee Sin on the other side of the map, you know, getting damage down onto Sion, finding the kill onto Morgana, just being so strong in this early game. And just like we said, find the light, showing Regulador how to play this Lee Sin effectively.
But if you look at the game from like what we're really expecting, all of this seems pretty in line with, I think, how we were perceiving the game going in. We saw a really strong performance from Find the Light in the early game, and now playing on Lee Sin, an even stronger early game champion as opposed to J4, it's not unsurprising that he's now 4-0. And the CS differentials are exactly where you would expect them to be in a play coming out in the bottom lane.
Here comes the Abyssal Voyage. He goes in with the Vayne. Now into the turret is that Lee Sin. Devour going to keep him safe. Condemn on to that Varus. Not going to find another auto attack. And so far, just an ultimate and a couple of summoner spells wasted on this bottom side of the map. But now this very immobile Varus does not have flash, so they may look for a dive here. Lux on the bottom side, just going to push him all the way back to the tier 2. And ultimately, after that little skirmish, that's just going to mean a few turret plates for this bot lane.
And you see Wizard, a slight misplay, not getting the kill there. But again, risky under tower. I feel like I say that at least once a cast.
No, absolutely. But on the bottom side of the map, they are getting here some turret plates for Vayne and Tahm Kench. But on the top side, Rek'Sai making plays with the Sion, picking up the Rift Herald. But now we see some fighting down. Blue Smite is on, trying to find the slow. Conqueror has been procced. Vladimir already been knocked up, not going to be able to get knocked up again. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught, but Sanguine Pool going to keep him safe for now. Decimating Smash, finds a knockup, finds a stun. He tries to flash away, but it doesn't matter. Regulador picks that up, and now they have the Rift Herald on the top side of the map, and they can look to find some plates for themselves.
Really good gank by Arnie again. Regulador really coming out, trying to answer the pressure. Ooh!
A solo kill in the mid lane. Tuition Fee says, you don't take my champ, you don't ban it. I'm going to show you how to play it now. 2-0-2 is that Lux. And again, building towards that Mejai's Soul Stealer, that kind of aggressive build, but it works so well last game.
And Tuition Fee putting on great performances the past 2 games. Even when Tuition Fee wasn't on their main champion, now they are on their main. And we can really see the difference, just getting solo kills and now really starting to pressure and get a CS lead here.
Yeah, Chain of Corruption down onto the Vayne, and not much to say about that. She gets absolutely deleted. Here comes a teleport. Vladimir on the backside as well, but Sion going to try and save his bot lane. Sanguine Pool going to keep him safe for now. Decimating Smash, not going to find the knockup or the stun. Hail of Arrows is on, so is the poison. Sion going in with the Soul Furnace, finds the pop and finds the damage. That is Vladimir going down now 0-2. Varus getting dangerously low here, but a trade kill. The minions and the turret are just too much. Vladimir gets one back for himself. And in these plays, they just have to play this so much cleaner. They're finding kills, but they're giving free gold over to HTS Gaming, and they've already got the lead.
And you can really see, like, Regulator is pretty far behind on his jungle tempo here. It feels like everything that Find the Light's doing is going well, and even when Regulator is able to find plays on the other side of the map, Find the Light is right there with a red buff, ready to take the top lane tower, getting that first tower brick.
Yeah, and Rift Herald going over to Arnie, not able to use it to grab first brick. So, again, right now we're just really highlighting Find the Light, being able to find the plays and find the kills, find the turrets, just really everything here. He's got a 40 CS lead on his counter pick, or on his counterpart here. And right now he is such a big lead on your team captain. Just like taking that Baron last game in the 50-50, it has to feel so good. They have so much momentum coming from the first game into the second game. But now we see Lee Sin looking for something on the Sion. Unstoppable onslaught will be stopped there. Lee Sin goes forward. Flash coming out from Sion. Now Lee Sin does not have flash available. Hemo Plague is on. Sanguine Pull to slow him down. There's the Dragon's Rage. Scion just so very tanky. Decimating Smash, going to get the slow, but not the knock-up. Unstoppable is that Lee Sin. And we can't say enough about this guy. A 700 gold bounty on his head. And right now, HTS Gaming taking control of this game on all fronts.
Nearly a 4K gold lead, and Monarch walking over the Scuttle Crab here. It feels like Arnie is finding some plays with their jungler, but it's just not really adding up into the gold value that they really need here.
Light binding on Rek'Sai, able to get it from that one, but here comes the Abyssal Voyage. Now final hour on from Vayne. She flashes away from the Soul Shackles. Flash coming out from Morgana. Everybody's safe so far. Dark binding now onto Lee Sin. Devourer will keep him safe. Just a slight skirmish on the bottom side of this map, but everybody able to walk away from this one with their lives.
I think it's really important to emphasize here that with a double AP comp that HTS is winning, any neutral trades are going to be advantageous to them. They want to get to the late game with Vayne. They want to get their Tam Kendish tanky. The Lee Sin has been able to carry them through this early game, and the longer that they wait to be able to deal with these threats in Vayne and Lux, and even Vladimir once he starts getting more gold, they're going to have a huge problem trying to keep their squishies alive.
Yeah, trying to push down Arnie, looking for the tier 1 in the bottom lane, just finding some poke damage. Right now, my main worry is this Lee Sin going to fall off? 5-0 and 2, 1,000 gold if you kill this guy. If you can get that on Varus, that might be enough to swing the gold kind of back into your favor and allow Varus to really take control of the team fights.
Well, and really coming into this mid-game here at 16 minutes, we can see HTS with 2 Air Dragons is playing to this whole rotation, mobility sort of play style here, making sure that they've got pressure, they've got priority, and Tuition Fee being able to pressure and keep priority in the mid lane against the Morgana is completely uncharacteristic and really a testament to Tuition Fee's play.
Yeah, and you talked about the roaming. Just everything being neutralized. Trade kills going back over. Rek'Sai looking for the play on the bottom side of the map with Morgana, but Lee Sin and Lux were there to follow up and just negate everything there. But now we see a little bit of damage coming off the Vayne. Final hour is on, but she is blinded. Not able to find any trade damage, but that is the ult now out from Vayne with Infernal Dragon alive here. A huge ult for her not to have in this next team fight.
And only Teemo could get away with that. Teemo is the only champion that could probably blind the Vayne and really just dissuade that whole engage just because of Vayne not being able to do DPS.
Now Silent on the back side. A Dragon just running rampant here, attacking whoever gets close. Arnie walking away now down towards his bot lane, trying to disengage from the Dragon. But Sion may try and find a play on the outside. The Unstoppable Onslaught is available. But HTSG actually just going to recall here. Lux getting caught out. A lot of damage now, but she's not going to go down. There she goes. The shutdown going over to Varus. Vayne able to get one back on the trade. Unstoppable Onslaught will find the Vladimir. Going to go down, and Rek'Sai picks up another one. That is going to be a 3-for-1 overall. And right there, it looked like HTS Gaming wanted to recall, and then Lux ends up getting caught out.
I think there was some kind of miscommunication there. Either Tuition Fee needed to back and just give up the Fire Drake, or they all needed to stay and really pressure it. I think that was just a little bit of a lack of synergy in the team fight there, allowing Arnie to come in, win that conflict, and also get the Fire Drake for themselves.
Yeah, and notable in that team fight, although a 3-for-1 for Team Arnie, they are still down just shy of 3,000 gold, and Lee Sin still has that bounty on his head, so they weren't able to find that 700 gold shutdown onto any of these carries. So the gold really not swaying there. Ultimately, just an Infernal Drake going over to Arnie.
Obviously really good for Arnie. I mean, they need things like that to be able to bolster themselves in the end game. You see the Vayne, you see the Lux, you see the Vladimir. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important their late game scaling here is. And if Arnie's actually able to get like a second or third Fire Drake, if another one spawns before the Elder Drake starts spawning, they might actually have a really good chance of just equalizing their late game scaling because of the buffs from the Infernals.
Yeah, and speaking of late game scaling, I do want to talk about Vladimir and Scion spent a little bit of time in the mid lane. Scion now having the completed Spirit Visage and the Merc treads. He was actually getting the better of those trades. Now, I understand that Vladimir doesn't really have a whole lot of magic pen, but now we see Lee Sin looking for an engage here. He goes in onto the Lee Sin. Dragon's kick, or Dragon's Rage, not going to find anything. Morgana getting deleted immediately in that fight. Now Scion caught out in the middle of 5. The Condemned not going to find the stun, but she will find the kill now. 5 members still alive for HTS Gaming, and a huge pick there onto their mid laner.
These are the kind of fights that we were worried that Arnie would get talked into. These long-term fights with Vayne there. Eventually she's just able to DPS down those 2 members without much of a fuss. Just keeping her front lane in front of her. Really solid team fight positioning by HTS. Just getting themselves a quick advantage and scoring 2 towers off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tier 2 mid going down. Just a huge fight there. They find the pick onto what it looked like. They tried to go into Teemo for a second. Black Shield keeping him safe. The Lee Sin kick, not able to find the knockback onto anybody. But at that point, it didn't matter. But now we see a re-engage here. Rek'Sai gets the knock up onto Vladimir. He uses that single pull, and now he will get eaten up by the Tahm Kench, and that is just so devastating. You look for a pick, and Tahm Kench is just there with the Devour to keep him safe.
Find the light pressuring down onto the bottom lane here. He's really been able to utilize his lead in this game and has been pressuring a lot of these towers. It really shows that both of these captains are able to have consistently good performances and lead their team through these games.
And both of these bot laners building towards that Guinsoo's Rage Blade, which is going to mean very fast Baron takes. And if Vayne can do it, so can Varus. Both of these teams have very strong teams to be able to take down that big purple worm, which is available, and the next team fight may decide who grabs that objective. Now almost 6,000 gold on the side of HTS. G has to walk away from that one. A good pickup there from Arnie. If they were worried about that Baron, now they have the Scuttle Crab on the top side to keep eyes on.
You just see a little bit of vision trading here, a little bit of contestion towards the Baron, just sort of trying to assert dominance in this situation. And you see a lot of sweepers coming out, trying to get rid of some of those Teemo shrooms. I'm looking to see Arnie come in and repressure this here.
Yeah, and with the that Scuttle Crab pickup, that really stops HTSG from wanting to do this Baron. They could try and sneak it as they're clearing out all this vision, but that Scuttle Crab just going to give it away. So a really, really strong pickup there by Regulador and Team Arnie. Now Dragon available in just under a minute, so they may shift their focus to that bottom side of the map here.
The tension of those few moments there where both of them were sitting in a bush, it felt like it was a rubber band about to snap. They both go back and start just dealing with their minion waves, but it really feels like we're gearing up for a big team fight here.
Yeah, Lux may be trying to bait it out. Arnie know that something is up here. All 5 members kind of waiting around this Baron pit, but it does look like with this Dragon becoming available, HTSG is going to make their way down, which maybe means a trade for Baron on the side of Arnie, or it actually looks like they're going to make their way down as well to try and contest this Cloud Drake.
Triple Cloud Drake on the side of HTS would be such a huge deal. They've already been using their extra speed to outmaneuver and out-rotate Arnie this game. Now having it, they're going to be able to bounce between the Elder Drake and the Baron. Should they both come up, they're going to be able to get a lot of the advantage on these rotations as long as they're clear and concise and strong in their shot call ability.
Yeah, and it's just going to make it that much quicker for the engage to happen. Lee Sin coming flying in, finding a kick or finding a kill even with him being so strong. And it's going to give that much more kite ability to that Vayne, able to just tumble away and use this movement speed to keep that front line away from the back line and deal that damage as she needs to. Now the light binding coming out. Varus flash 4. Chain of Corruption is on. Lux going to go down immediately. That is the mid laner dead for HTSG. And now they might look to start up this Baron. They're going to Arnie going to find another Scuttle Crab. Lee Sin is 2 levels up on this Rek'Sai, so that 50-50 now leans a little bit towards a 60-40 with that smite advantage.
Monarch having a really hard game this game, but able to get a pick there, able to hit the binding, and get a really a good play off onto Tuition Fee, able to secure the Baron for Arnie here, moving into 25 minutes.
Yeah, 5,000 health onto this Baron. Vladimir on the top side looking for a flank here now. Abyssal Voyage takes Tahm Kench and Vayne into the pit, but they're in trouble here. Vayne has to flash away, but Shutdown going over to Varus, and Tahm Kench in a very bad spot. Soul Shackle going to pick that kill up. Vladimir having to run away. Now Lee Sin, he does have that GA. He might look for the steal here, and he gets the steal. Lee Sin picks that up for his team. His GA is going to be popped, but that does not matter. He will pay for it with his life. He actually flashes away and lives, and Tuition Fee finds a kill on the backside, a 2-for-1 and a Baron steal for HTS Gaming.
Crazy team fight. What great play by Final Light, managing to secure that Baron, and Tuition Fee getting the kill on the back end. I was really worried Wizard was not the person that Nihao wanted to bring in with his ulti. I thought that was going to go terribly for them, but then with some great plays, some great safeguards by Final Light, they're able to turn around that fight and actually get 3 Barons on their team. What great play by HTS Gaming there.
Absolutely huge. Find the light. We just literally, we can't say enough about this guy. 5-0-6 on the Lee Sin, and if you looked at his CS, you would think he was in a lane. He's got 210 CS, 26 minutes into this game, and he rears up a Sonic Wave and now has a Baron steal under his belt. Absolutely huge, and this gold lead, again, just growing ever so slightly in the favor of HTSG. But now we see Lee Sin maybe caught out here. He does have the ward hop to get away. A very scary spot because we already talked about this. He is worth 1,000 gold right now, and you don't want to just be giving up 1,000 gold because that could definitely turn the tides of things.
Yeah, but finally having just a fantastic statement game here. 5-0-6 on that Lee Sin, 214 CS. Really doing a lot of work for his team, pressuring this advantage that he's managed to gain for them.
And now Vladimir, as we're getting later into the game, able to start winning these trades against the Scion. Heal up from any damage. Scion might look for something here. Not going to find it. Rek'Sai into the wakes here. Now Rek'Sai goes in with the tunnel. The Umbro is on. Sanguine Pool as well. Vladimir caught in the middle of 2. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught. Vladimir goes golden with the Hemo Plague. Decimating Smash going to find the stun. They're trying to find the damage. Here comes the ultimate out from Rek'Sai. She has to flash away. And right now it looks like it's just no use. Vladimir just so healthy in these fights, able to steal so much HP back, and he lives a 2v1 while on the bottom side of the map. HSG looking for something. There is the insect onto the Teemo. Will they find it? Tongue Lash not gonna find his spot. Now rooted up is that Lee Sin in the base. 1,000 gold going over to that Varus, and that's exactly where you want that gold. Not only on your carry, but on your team captain. And right now, Alpha Rudolph has to be feeling hype.
When we were talking for so long about the shutdown gold on the Lee Sin, and then he just gives up a kill. The Insect not being able to turn over a kill onto that Teemo. The Vladimir surviving there was so important because it allowed them to pressure with Baron on the bottom side, but then giving over all that gold and only getting that second tier tower actually makes this Baron feel pretty bittersweet for HTS here.
And that now means the completed Runan's Hurricane on this Varus. So if he's able to stay in the back line with this frontline Scion and the Soul Shackle coming out from Morgana, he's going to be doing heaps of damage with that Blighted Quiver, able to get the piercing arrows down. The ultimate as well, if you did not know, the Chain of Corruption does put full stacks onto a member. So Varus able to just dish out so much damage in these next team fights. And Vernal Drake is available. Vladimir recalling to the base, does have that teleport. We'll just have to see which team able to secure this Drake.
How important is this Drake for Arnie? I talked about it earlier, but if they're able to get this second Inferno, oh.
Regulador getting caught out here. He uses the ultimate, goes in, but now he's stuck in the middle of 4. He's actually still alive, but here comes Vladimir. Now he is going nuclear on this backline. Varus going down. Now is a 2-for-1 overall so far. Teemo on the backside trying to find something. Lux finds 2, but Scion gets a trade kill here. Teemo the last alive for his team. I'm sorry, Scion and Teemo there. Teemo goes down, and now Scion trying to get something back. A 4-for-3 overall. Varus and Lux trying to beat down on this tank, but he might just be too tanky. He flashes away here. Dragon still available. A really scrappy team fight, and overall a 4-for-3 for HTS Gaming.
How important was that fight for Arnie? I said one of their win conditions was to get a second Infernal Drake so that they could actually keep up the scaling, but in losing it over to HTS, they are actually exacerbating the problem that they had with this Vayne. I think that that was one of the key turning points of this game. That fight's going to shift so much tempo in the favor of HTS. It's going to be hard for Arnie to come back, I think, at this point. 6k gold down. It's looking pretty grim.
Yeah, and Rek'Sai getting caught out in that tri-bush, maybe looking for a pick herself, but pays the ultimate price, and that kind of really is what turned that fight on its head. Had Rek'Sai not gotten picked there, they might have been able to find a favorable fight around that dragon with the damage that Varus now deals. But as you're saying, extra damage from that Infernal Drake, a 6,000 gold lead, HTSG slowly walking away with this one.
And it's been because of these air drakes and the style that they're playing that they've been able to keep up consistent pressure. They've really been able to build up their gold lead over time. It hasn't been in, you know, these big bursts of team fights. They've really accrued all of this advantage from CS leads and the pressure that they've been putting on towers and the neutral objectives around the map. I think that HTS has been playing the macro game superbly this game.
And now we see the Vision War coming out again. Baron coming up in just under 20 seconds. They're trying to clear it all out. They're making sure they spot them all. And right now, Teemo has the shrooms, but they feel pretty underwhelming thus far. The Teemo support 3, 2, and 10. You see now going in onto that back line, onto that team that we were just talking about. Dragon's Rage will find the kill there, but so will Varus. They pop that GA now. Sion in the middle of 4, but he's going to get Rek'Sai going to get absolutely decimated. Final Spark going to find some damage on the Sion, but he is very tanky on this front line. Lee Sin finds a double kill on the back of that as Lux gets another one. Now the Sion passive trying to pick up the kill onto Vayne. Not going to be able to do it, and that is going to be a clean ace for HTS Gaming, and that also means the Baron.
Find the Light just coming out with a huge pick there onto the Teemo, just showing his comfort on the champion and making plays for his team, securing this neutral objective by starting off that really great team fight.
And Teemo stepping up just a bit too far forward. We were talking about him not having too much going on, and he still has that Zhonya's in his inventory. Find the Light so far ahead here, able to just delete him immediately in one full combo, and that was free. He ended up staying alive in that team fight. The only thing lost there was the GA. So although we saw him playing aggressive before and it not paying off, that definitely paid off for them there.
The fight started off as a 4v5 in HTS's favor, and then the Vayne tumbling in aggressively onto the backline. They didn't really have a way to respond to it after the Sion went down, and Vayne just being able to shred through them, getting caught in a choke with Lux. Just a really great setup to a team by HTS, and very unfortunate for Arnie that was the time that Find the Light chose to go in.
Yeah, now we see that what was a 6,000 gold lead, now a 10,000 gold lead. We see some stealing of the jungle there. Blue buff going over to the Rek'Sai, so Arnie able to get one for themselves there. But now 5 members of HTSG sieging down this mid lane with that Baron buff. The turret is not there. Inhibitor is open, and surely this inhibitor will fall.
Here you should just see HTS just pressuring in on the inhib and then probably starting up either a 5-man push on the bottom lane with the top side, starting to bounce back to them now, or try to set up a 4-1 split push. It appears that they're going for the 5-man focused team fight oriented macro decision here, making their way down to the bottom, about to shove in some waves with Baron. We'll see if the poke from Arnie is enough to actually wave clear away these Baron minions.
Yeah, and the Baron minions just now making their way out of the base, so not too much pressure yet in that mid lane, so they will be able to use all 5 members. Or actually, it looks like Sion going to make his way to the top lane to keep that tier 2 alive up there, as all 5 members of HTSG going to push this inhibitor turret on the bottom side down. And now Dragon is going to be available in just under a minute. They may be able to pull away for that one if they're not able to get this inhibitor.
Cracking the base is still really good for HTS. They're willing to play the slow and steady game because of the scaling that they've got on their champions. Just getting the free gold and getting out, I think, is a perfectly fine decision here. Don't risk anything that you don't have to.
If Vars flashes forward, has a chain of corruption. They do find Tom Kench. A lot of damage coming out. He does not have enough time for the thick skin. Now Scion going in with the unstoppable onslaught. Vayne is very low here. He flashes forward. The Roar of the Slayer going to find the slow. Here comes the decimating smash, but she goes golden. Rek'Sai is here for the knockup with the shutdown. Going over to Varus. And some more gold on that AD carry. Exactly what you want to see now. Varus stepping up, trying to fight too. He has to walk away. Blade of the Ruined King will find the slow. Sanguine Pool going to keep him safe for now. But 3 members here making a huge statement. Arnie are not out of this game just yet.
Just as I say that, Wizard and Nihao just getting caught inside of the jungle, overstaying, a little bit of hubris there on their part, leading to Arnie being able to establish themselves around this dragon and really contest it.
It is going to be a 3v5. Vayne dead for another 15 seconds. She will not be able to join Tom Kench on the Abyssal Voyage. Lightbinding does not find the Rek'Sai. Inside the jungle is Arnie trying to push them back off of this dragon, trying to push HTS off the dragon. Now a Mountain Drake going over to Arnie. Final Spark and a lot of damage on her regular door. Has to be careful there. Smites it away. Now a Mountain Drake and an Infernal Drake for them. But HTS looking for blood in return.
20 stacks on the Medjais at this luck, 6, 2, and 10. She's really starting to hurt now, even on these tanks like Scion. She's just starting to scale into her late game damage spikes here.
Now we see a little bit of fancy footwork, but now the Tongue Lash is on. Devour coming out, flash forward from Tom Kench. Regular door in a very scary spot, stuck in the middle of 2. He will go down. Tuition fee now unstoppable on that luck. So a 4v5 as HTS pushes down this bottom lane. They want this inhibitor. They want to continue to open up this base. The minions on the top side take that tier 2. So if they want, they can rotate after this inhibitor bot. But again, a 4v5. Rek'Sai dead for another 30 seconds here.
Playing the simple pressure game here. They're just pushing in the waves, taking the objectives that are free. Now they can just rotate to top and use their super minions to their advantage. They should have a smooth cruise into this inhibitor as long as they play this correctly.
HTS, again, all 5 members working together as a unit, pushing in this top lane. Rek'Sai will be alive for this next fight, and I think you do not want to be down 3 inhibitors against this team that is so far ahead. I think you have to fight for it here.
Definitely have to do something to stop this push. They can't just let HTS roll them over here at the end of the game. They've got one of their Nexus towers actually very low here. They have to be careful of the super minions coming in, but they can't just concede towers, otherwise they're going to run out of towers to concede.
Super minions pushing in mid, super minions pushing in bot, starting to pressure Arnie's base. Now they might look for a fight here in the top side. Chain of Corruption is on, does find Tom Kench, does find Vladimir, but now we see a lot of damage coming down on the front line. Morgana goes in with the Soul Shackles, but Tom Kench is already dead. Lee Sin trying to find the kill on Varus. He does have that GA. He will go down. 2 dead on the side of HTS. Vayne on the backside. She does step onto a mushroom, and that should be enough. Teemo picks up a kill for himself. Now find the light in a very bad spot. Rek'Sai trying to pick this one up here, running around the base. He does manage to find a kill on Varus, but not before getting traded over. The Hail of Arrows gonna pick that up. And overall, a 1 for 4 for Arnie inside their base, making this final stand. And Baron is gonna be alive here in just under 20 seconds.
If Arnie manages to come back into this game and solidify this gold lead once more, I think that we got to give credit to Senpai Daisuke here. He's been hitting so many of his shrooms. They're doing so much AoE damage inside of the game. It's an unconventional pick for sure, but Senpai's making it work, and getting those blinds onto the Vayne is really turning the tide of these fights. Obviously, very good play by our Avery here, getting the CC down on the back 3 members of the team, and Regulator coming in, popping up the important members. But I think that we can't understate enough how important this team has been to keeping Arnie in the game insofar as they have been.
Yeah, those Teemo Shrooms, the Noxious Trap, kind of being that 6th member on this team, able to lay it down to create this wall as the minions and the members of HTS have to push through. He does have that Leandries. He's working towards his Morellos, so he's got a lot of spell pen here. He's also going to be able to negate some of the healing. And now we see Baron started up for HTS, maybe uncontested. Morgana in the wakes here, but it's getting absolutely deleted now. Under 9,000 health is that Baron. Morgana is here, but their jungler is not. Rek'Sai and Teemo just now leaving the base here. 3,000 health on that Baron. Surely this will go the way of HTS, and yes, it will.
decisive shot calling of Find the Light, just securing them another Baron there, running straight from the base, knowing that they're safe, setting up the vision properly, just taking a free, easy Baron. Well played on the side of HTS.
And now we're going to see that pressure game again. Mid inhibitor is up for Arnie, so that is probably going to be first on the menu with Supers pushing down in the bottom lane. HTS taking all 5 members, working as that cohesive unit and trying to take every single piece of this base. They don't want to leave anything or any reason for Arnie to be able to get back in this game.
And Arnie is looking. I think that both of these games we've really seen that both of these teams have been able to punch back and forth during these fights. It's a very even game, and neither of them is giving up easily.
Another 40-minute game from these members. Now Teemo goes golden to stop the final spark damage. He will be alive for now. That is an ultimate down for Lux, but as we know, that cooldown up here shortly. Elder Drake going to be available as well. Now on the top side of the map, Arnie's minions able to get that tier 1 in the top lane, but it looks like we might see an Elder Dragon fight. 4 members are there, but Lux is not. Arnie's starting to make their way up in the jungle. They're not going to back off just yet here. Teemo in the wakes, 5,000 health on that Elder Drake. Rek'Sai not able to see the Elder Drake right now. The smite comes out. Red team gonna pick that up, and now the Hemo Plague is on. Vladimir going absolutely nuclear in that back line. Teemo is now dead, and so is Sion. The final spark coming out, not gonna find anything there, but so far 2 dead on the side of Arnie. Now Varus and Rek'Sai running for their lives. The Warthog coming in, the knockup from the Rek'Sai. A double kill from the Lee Sin, absolutely huge. Rek'Sai coming up off of the end of that Guardian Angel, but it does not matter. That's the ace. That's the game. And HTS Gaming taking it 2-0.
This game, just like yesterday's games, we see one team sort of come together on all their communication, their synergy, and being able to push really strong macro advantages, being able to utilize their gold advantage where it was an even game before. I think that HTS and Kamikaze Penguins did it in very different ways, but it's the same basic principle of being able to take those small advantages and actually roll them into macro objectives rather than just keeping the gold even.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keeping the lead this entire game, and I think we have to pay so much homage and attribute so much of that lead to Find the Light on the Lee Sin. Definitely the MVP in this game, and very, very, very strong pick or a strong player in that first game as well.
Find the Light really used his positioning on as a jungler, pressing in on the map, using tuition fees pressure in the mid lane to be able to invade into Regulator and get him behind early. Find the Light hit multiple insects to get picks in on the game, was constantly pressuring, trying to make aggressive plays. Well played on you, good sir.
Yeah, and we see the damage charts here. Arnie out damaging the majority of really everybody. The damage from Teemo, topping the graphs there, those shrooms, the damage. I didn't pay enough homage to the Teemo pick, but absolutely huge in this game. Unfortunately, not able to get it done, but I don't think either of those games were completely one-sided. Honestly, towards the end of that game, although down 10,000 gold, it looked like Arnie may have made a few plays, maybe got a few neutral objectives, and turned that game completely on its head.
Yeah, I think that the real turning point in that game, well, obviously the dragon fight, getting that Infernal Drake onto HTS, really locking Arnie out of the scaling. As the game did go into 241 minutes, they got into the late game stages where the Infernal Drake count was actually very, very important. I think that it is also very important to note the 2 decisive Barons that Find the Light got, just commanding his team, running straight from the base, setting up the vision. They played the vision game very well in this game, and getting those 2 free Barons allowed them to get the pressure to get those towers and really convert, leading into a win.
Absolutely, and the Baron steal in itself, so much momentum swing in a Baron steal alone. So having the gold lead and being able to get that for your team, especially as the captain, is such a good and strong feeling. And from there, everybody's spirits get picked up, and that game looks so winnable at that point.
Incredible timing by Find the Light. He was really on his smites. He was in 3 contested smite situations and hit all 3 of them, and what important smites they were on that Elder Dragon, on that Baron, and also on one of the dragons earlier on. He just played very well this game. He deserves all the praise in the world.
Yeah, getting all of the objectives, the majority of the kills, and a whole heap of damage. Now HTS Gaming 2-0 against Team Arnie. As we close the day out, is there anything that you would like to add on the end of the broadcast here, Sticks?
Just everybody have a good night. I hope that you enjoyed the cast. Very exciting games, very dynamic games. I'm looking forward to seeing what this division looks like moving forward now that I've cast 2 of them.
I absolutely agree. Explosive gameplay, these long games taking us into 40+ minutes, really going back and forth, and these team captains doing so much for their team. So from everybody here with Casual EAL, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow us, Casual EAL on Twitter and Casual Esports Amateur League on Facebook. That is going to do it for us from here, but make sure you drop that follow and stay tuned for games coming up. We do have another game coming up Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as Monday, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Thank you, Sticks, for accompanying me here on this journey, and we will see you guys in the next one.